welcome to another episode of the Game Junk Podcast. This is episode number 21 for, let's say, October 2014, and my name is Sean.
My name is Frank.
My name is Andrew.
And coming up on this episode, we've got some discussion about a lot of different games we've played individually. We've got Destiny, we've got Shadows of Mordor, we've got Hyrule Warriors, some other, older stuff. A lot of news, some hot button stuff, including GamerGate, and we've got some special guests joining us this week. We've got Chris and Alex from Pixel Knots. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, pretty
well,
good.
Yeah. We're over at Casa de Frank. It's
otherwise known as Site B.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a very hospitable location.
Sex dungeon.
Lots of beers. Leather couches. It's nice. It's nice.
So I understand you guys, you work with Frank on a, occasional basis, and I understand the discussions get quite heated in the offices of Pixel Knots. Will this transfer to Game Junk?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think so. Frank, I don't know. He's the office troll. He definitely likes to express contrary opinions, and I don't know, man. He likes to amp up his opinions too, right? Like if he slightly disagrees with you, he's gonna come up with a way to blow it out of proportion so he really disagrees with you.
Yeah, he even got me angry.
Wow. How was that again?
with the
Zelda?
Skyward Sword.
Oh yeah, the controls sucked.
Yeah, see, Frank's wrong.
That game's horrible.
It gets out of control sometimes. Just at least we're not talking about Prometheus, because that's where things get really crazy in the
Hey,
office.
this is Game Junk, all right? Game Junk.
So before we get to some of the many news stories, let's talk briefly. So you guys have Lost Orbit nearing the end of development. How's that looking? What's the release date? When can we expect it?
It's getting there.
Oh man, that's the process, right? Like anybody who's worked in games knows you get about 80% of the way there and you're only halfway done. So we've been close to being finished for months and months, and it just keeps kind of rolling on. But I think we're really actually getting close this time, and we're getting close to the testing phase, and we don't have a concrete release date at this point, but
Soon.
yeah.
Safe to say we hate our lives, so it can't be much longer.
Or else.
Yeah. Murder,
Cool.
suicide.
Sweet. And Huck City, what about you? How's Citizens of Earth coming?
It's good. We're close, real close. Our release date is November 4th currently. Hopefully everything goes to plan, which it looks like it is. And just kind of finishing up. We submitted to Sony once and got back, so hopefully we're getting close. Going to submit to Nintendo in a couple days, so hopefully that'll all go smooth and everyone will have it in their hands November 4th on PS4, Vita, Wii U, 3DS, and Steam.
That was a way better plug than ours.
Sorry, but I got to see Interstellar 4 times that weekend. Don't think I can do it.
That's okay. You'll have time after. Interstellar is only 8 hours if you watch it 4 times.
It's going to be a lot to process.
Citizens of Earth is like
forum research. It's going to be deep. It's going to be intense.
But Citizens of Earth, minimum 20 hours. So, for that other hours of the day, you can fill your time with Citizens.
That's too long for me.
I know. I don't expect you to play it.
Did you
at all.
say it's launching simultaneously on all platforms, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a plan.
Sweet.
Cow.
And did you say X-Bone?
No X-Bone.
I'm an exclusive X-Bone guy.
It's not. That is actually
Loves
not
the bone.
for. That's not because we hate Microsoft. It's actually because they couldn't get us a kit in time.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty common problem, actually.
yeah. So if we had a kit, we probably would also be releasing X-Bone. But it's actually great that I don't have to do that one as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So how's your physical and mental health right now? Are you holding it together or what?
No. And I'm getting about 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, and because I'm taking care of my son for the day, and then I work at night, so it's a little crazy right now, but almost over. I can see the end finally.
Yeah.
So, game's starting to be really stable, and just kind of fixing all the polish bugs now, and making sure all those stupid technical requirements from the platform holders are met, like your save data appears just the right way and all this stuff. So all the fun stuff that no one wants to do.
If you remove the game disc while saving and also trying to update from the internet and unplugging your router at the same time.
Yep. You got to make sure that's handled.
Yep.
All that dumb stuff. But so I mean, it's good. It's going well. So we're almost done and the end is in sight, and I will sleep more than 4 hours soon, I believe.
Nice. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into it, boys.
One thing I wanted to say before we get into it. Shout out to Drinkbox released Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition on Wii U, Xbone, I think PS4 and Steam. And I think it was free for the Games for Gold. It was the first new release for Games for Gold on Xbone. So I don't know if it's still free, but people should definitely pick that up.
Yep, it's pretty awesome.
Does anyone know if it's still free?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It's not anymore. No.
No, okay. That's too bad.
We should probably give one more shout out to a former guest of the show, PC, Paul Caparici. His company, Creative Bytes, has a iPad game out, iOS, called what is it? Sorry, I lost it here. Monsters Assemble 3D.
Nice.
So it's free right now. I believe it's still free. So if you got kiddies out there, Sean, fire it up for Kieran already, will you?
Yeah, I will definitely check that out. I heard about it.
I want Kieran doing his first review on Game Junk.
Well, hey, I started him on Mario, so we'll talk about that when I get to discussing the Wii U. But he's primed and ready, let me tell you. Okay, so news. Lots of stuff to talk about. I don't know how long we're going to go, but we'll see how many things we get to here. Let's start with big news, fairly recent. Microsoft buys Mojang, makers of Minecraft, for, I believe, was it $2.5 billion?
2.5 bills.
Oh, yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. First of all, does anybody here play Minecraft?
I did for a while.
No.
I bought the Xbox One version last week and played it for an hour or two.
So, yeah, you play it, I think you can say.
I liked it, though. I think there's a lot of potential. When I had played it way, way long ago, some friends of mine were playing the pre-release version, and I was watching them. This is the worst game ever. It was so beta or even alpha, and I could not follow what was going on. So I've definitely seen the transition to where it is actually a game now and enjoyable to someone who just steps into it for the first time.
I know for me about 2 years ago or so when I was at Bedlam, the game just went through the office. And they had, I think, 2 or 3 servers set up on work computers. And literally you'd walk to the office and it was just every second desk was someone just playing Minecraft, not giving a shit that they're supposed to be working. So, I mean, it's obviously a good game. I just never got the time to sit down and play it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's clearly got a ton of people playing it, and Microsoft thinks it's worth quite a bit of money. I guess a few things to discuss here. I mean, one of the secondary news stories to this was that Notch, the creator of Minecraft, is leaving the company after this whole buyout goes through. So, I mean, some people seem like, Minecraft fans seem kind of pissed that, he decided to sell to a big corporation, and who knows what's going to happen to Minecraft in the future. But on the other hand, sometimes, it kind of reminds me of a little bit of George Lucas and Star Wars, where you get to a certain point where something's really big, you maybe don't have the energy to take care of it anymore. What else are you going to do? You got to give it to a company that's got the resources to manage it, and
we'll pay you $2.5 billion.
Yeah, it's $2.5 billion. Yeah,
and let's
nice
also
paycheck.
I see another similarity between Star Wars and this, and that you're saying a lot of people are pissed about it. I mean, relatively, I don't think there are that many people pissed about it. I think the most people play that game are 8 years old, playing on an iPad and something else, and have no idea who Notch is, just like kids who like Star Wars don't know who George Lucas is. And that's who Disney and Microsoft are going after. They don't know about the video game scene. I know very few people our age who play those games. So to me, it's like, while video game websites might be making a big deal, I don't think it's that big a deal business-wise for Microsoft.
No, my nephew plays that game like 8 hours a day, and he doesn't give a crap who owns it or why or how. He plays it more than Call of Duty or GTA. He doesn't give a crap. And that's totally the market.
So do you guys think this was a good move for Microsoft?
Like, Frank and I were talking about it in the office when he came in. He's like, yeah, what do you think about this Minecraft buyout? And I'm like, there's no way they're going to make that money back. Like, my first reaction was the game, like, because I've watched it for such a long period of time. I felt instantly like, okay, it's peaked. You know, it's got maximum penetration. Like, what are they really going to do with it, right? Like, and I remember, like, what Frank was saying back in the day when it was, like, just this tiny little hacked together, like, pre-alpha, right? Going all the way through to, like, my friends getting invested in it personally, like making texture sets and running their own servers and all that kind of stuff now. And it's, I don't know, I almost feel like it can't get any bigger. But right after that, well, I'll let you tell them, Frank, what you said to me.
Okay. My prediction for the reason is to make Minecraft 2 potentially exclusive or an exclusive window to Surface tablets. And
Surface tablets, interesting.
So Microsoft, I think, is having trouble permeating the tablet market, and that's where a lot of kids play it on. Most kids that I've, like, friends of the family, the kids are playing it on iPads, right? So even they can still make their money eventually on iOS if it fails, because they can just release it later. But I think they're going to look for a way to push the Surface tablets and get exclusive content on those machines that, you know, hopefully start having flow through stores. And I think we'll see Minecraft 2 or, you know, the same way there's Warcraft and StarCraft, some other kind of craft in the vein of Minecraft exclusive to Microsoft in the near future. At least for a window.
That wasn't even the argument that convinced me, though.
Oh, was it?
Do you remember the other argument that you made?
Just how many toys they sell?
Just swag, yeah.
Yeah, for
T-shirts,
sure. Nice.
toys, Lego,
Posters.
like whatever, right?
Walk
Yeah,
around
exactly.
at Halloween this year, I guarantee it's going to be 50% Minecraft people.
Yeah,
It's
dude, yeah, those
15-year-old
pickaxes
kids with
everywhere.
pickaxes.
Yeah.
But that was the thing that changed my mind. Because, like, when I first thought about it, just purely as a game, I'm like, they'll never make that money back.
There's Lego Minecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is stupid. Because Lego, that's where they got the idea, right?
Yeah.
They'll do a Minecraft movie, too, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, it's their way of battling Sony, right? I mean, it's silly, but kids play, like my nephew plays it exclusively on the 360 now, and he bought an Xbox One. He spent $600 of his own money last week, and he's like, I'm getting Destiny and Minecraft. And Destiny just because
Love this
he
kid.
had the money. And that was it, right? And I think that's their win against Sony. They're like, we need an exclusive that we know people will like. And they've always been about capturing something that's exclusive to another console, whether it's a little too late, like Rare
or ruining them. And,
or Halo or whatever, right?
Or just lying about exclusives.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
You know what, though? For me, though, I think that, well, I'm with you guys, with Frank anyways, how I think this was a smart move. I don't know what I'm with you too, Chris, so I don't think they'll make their money back on the game alone. But I think this is the first smart, sort of like forward-looking move by Microsoft that they've made probably in like the last 10 years. Because normally they're kind of like chasing Nintendo or chasing Sony. But with this one, I think they're looking at that like 8 to 15-year-old market. And I think what they'll do is I think they'll use Minecraft as like a platform to reach those kids. So
Definitely.
I think what they'll start dropping like
Minecraft
an update.
TV series exclusively on Microsoft.
Not just that, but I
With
think
gold.
they'll start like they'll update Minecraft, whichever version everyone's playing, and then they'll be able to nicely say like just drop Xbox stuff in there, Xbox ads, just basically start flooding them with Microsoft specific advertising and use it as a gateway to have all those kids grow up with like the Microsoft logo like just grained in their head that you want to buy Microsoft stuff, right? Because you're just going to indoctrinate the kids with that logo. Like, I bet all those kids know exactly what Mojang logo looks like. So they'll probably do something where they start integrating, the Microsoft logo with the Mojang logo to get them, associated together. And then all of a sudden, you see the Mojang you instantly think Microsoft. So then it will just become you show the Mojang label or logo, and then kids will just automatically associate Microsoft with it. And just like how Destiny is associated with Sony right now, the same sort of thing for Microsoft, except I guarantee the Minecraft population, if you want, is just so huge. And those kids don't even have money right now.
Yeah. I was going to say, Microsoft's always been about identifying and buying companies that they think have some sort of potential, right? Like, they've been doing that for a long time. And it's not that they're not good at identifying what's valuable. They're definitely really good at that. Their problem has always been whether or not they can maintain it to the level of, the people who are fans of it beforehand, right? Like Skype, Hotmail,
Rare.
Well,
yeah, it all just seems to go downhill. Like, to me, Microsoft always seems like a really square uncle that's trying to be cool. And he just uses his money to, like, buy things here and there. Yeah, check me out. I got Air Jordans. But he's like, 5 years too late or something, right? And it just keeps going like that. Like, what they need to do is put people in charge who know the demographic of the people that they're selling to, instead of, like, changing the manager of the project every couple of years.
And that's the thing I was going to bring up. The case for failure of this is you see how fast kids move from fad to fad.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Skylanders seems to have maintained momentum through time. But there could be a day, any day, where all of a sudden kids don't think Minecraft is cool anymore. And it can happen at any time.
Yep.
The way it did with me with, like, Ninja Turtles and stuff when I was a kid. They were my life, and then they were nothing to me.
Pogs?
Exactly. So, I mean, Minecraft's been around a while, and I'm sure there's something looming in the shadows waiting to draw kids' attention soon.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's where the departure of Notch is a little bit disconcerting, is that, they don't have somebody now overseeing the product moving forward. And I'm sure they will have a sequel, and even though they've reassured people that the current version of Minecraft will be available on all platforms, the sequel could very well be Microsoft exclusive, at least initially. But I guess maybe that's a good way to segue into the next topic, which is another Microsoft exclusivity deal, which kind of turned out to be not so exclusive. This happened at Gamescom, which was, a couple months ago now?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So Rise of the Tomb Raider is the next Tomb Raider game.
What a terrible name.
Yeah.
And
again, they were like 2 years too late. Everything was Rise, and now they're catching up, man.
And at Gamescom, they announced it would be exclusive to the Xbox One, I believe. And then people freaked out, and like a day later, they said, "Oh, actually, it's a timed exclusive. Just, we want to clarify." And I think they knew very, very well what they did with that initial announcement, and now it's kind of up for debate whether or not that is a big deal for Microsoft. What do you guys think?
Well, I just want to do one thing quick, because when we introduced Chris and Alex, they both kind of said hello at the same time. So I want to make sure the listeners know who's Alex and who's Chris.
Yes.
So they can rip them up in the comments appropriately. Just kidding.
No, you're not.
So Alex, why don't you talk first? Say, hi, my name's Alex, and I like this and this and this.
Hey, my name is Alex, and I like this and this and this.
Okay, and Chris?
I'm Chris. You'll be able to tell which one I am, because I'll get worked up over something or other, and my voice goes a little bit higher, and I start ranting. So
yeah, Alex is pretty chill.
I'm easy
the
to
Nintendo
identify.
fanboy.
Yeah, he's wearing a Zelda shirt right now.
Yeah, I'm always wearing a
He's got a Zelda tattoo.
I do.
He loves Zelda.
2 of them. One does people
He
don't know
still
about.
believes that demo at E3 is real time.
Dude.
He's delusional.
It's so beautiful.
Okay, anyway, so Tomb Raider exclusivity. Oh, 2 words, or 2 phrases, I guess, that just hit me hard. Tomb Raider, my game of the year. Exclusivity, my term of my life. Combined. And I gotta be honest, I've said already, I'm in an X-Bone phase right now. And the reason is exclusivity. I look at the games coming out this holiday, and I mean, any game coming out on PS4 except for some indie stuff, I can get on Xbox. But then I look at the stuff that I really want to play that's new, that I can only play on Xbox, and we got Sunset Overdrive, Forza Horizon 2 just came out today. Forza. Just to piss off Chris over there. And then we got Halo Collection and Ori and the Blind Forest. Yeah, all coming out this year, exclusive to Xbox. Those are the games I'm excited for. So rather than be jumping back and forth, I'm just going to settle in on an Xbox groove. You know what I'm saying? And to hear Tomb Raider is just going to slide in with that, I don't know if I'll still be in that phase then, but it's
Probably
helping.
won't be.
It's helping. You know what? Side note. I got to talk about this. Sometimes there's these magic moments. Just bliss. So today, I go to Target. Target has a deal. Buy Shadow of Mordor and get a $10 gift card. Okay? This is when you know something aligned right. So I go there. I decide to look for a lighting section first, for a light fixture. That's my first mistake. Anyway, they don't have like lighting fixtures at that Target, or probably any Target, just lamps and stuff. So I walk all the way around to the video game section. No, listen. And I see a kid walking. He's talking to a guy that I know at Target, and he's going to ask him to unlock games. So as they're walking towards the games, I'm like, oh, I'm here for the same thing. And they're like, he's Shadow of Mordor? I'm like, yep, okay. Go over. And like, we got a little situation here. Only one copy of Shadow of Mordor on PS4. The kid was there before me. He's getting his pick at the litter. He wants it for PS4. If I was in a PS4 phase, I would have lost my mind today. I would have snapped. I wouldn't have gotten it. I would have killed myself probably because I went around the store first rather than going straight for the game. And I would have hated that kid and hated everyone. But instead, I wanted it for Xbox anyway. No big deal. Life worked out. Xbox phase, it's meant to be.
How many Xbox copies were there?
3.
Oh, that's not that much.
But either way, that's a sign. If that's not a sign that something's going right, I don't know what is. And it's got me more locked into this phase than ever.
That kid's life was saved because you went to the lighting fixture section.
Exactly. Everyone was happier because of this phase. So it's got to be a great thing.
Frank, your big bag of Microsoft money just arrived.
Oh, thank you. I love it.
I'll just put it here beside your leather couch.
And yeah, so go Microsoft, go. I can't wait. And it didn't matter if for some people the window matters. That's cool. I don't care. If it was exclusive for one day, that's a big deal for me because I want to play Tomb Raider the day it comes out, and it'll probably be my most anticipated game of next year, depending on how Drake's 4 looks. But big announcement for me.
Let me just throw it over to Huck City here because we all know he's a big Tomb Raider fan.
Indeed, I am.
Does not own a PS4 or an Xbox One yet.
Nope.
Does this in any way change which console you might buy next year if you buy one next year?
I don't think so. I'm going to buy, probably when Citizen ships, a PS4. I think that's my goal of life. But for me, I'm not a big deal about exclusive. I'm so behind on games anyways that half the time I don't even know when games come out. I just happen to notice they're out. And but for me, I think the big thing about this exclusive kind of blow up
he's just cheap like me.
That too. I'm very cheap. I go to the library. I got to wait for the games to come in on
does the library have Xbox One games yet?
They do.
Okay. What if the library went exclusive?
Well, then I might have a problem.
I might try to. You know what? I'm looking for a job. I might see if I can become
a librarian.
I'll have to get a librarian degree first. Okay, I think I can do that.
Degree.
And then I will try to take over your local library and run it and phase out all take over the Sony products.
You'd have to take over the region's library purchasing.
I will do that.
Peel region.
Okay, Peel region, look out, I'm coming.
I mean, I don't even think you have to go that far. Why don't you just get a job? Just get a library card and go in there and hide all the Sony stuff.
That's a good idea.
Just trash it.
You're smart. I'm dumb.
But for me, I think for this exclusivity thing, I think it was the best that it blew up for Square Enix because they literally accepted the truckload of money from Microsoft and then got way more PR than they were probably anticipating for this game.
And they didn't have to say anything for it.
And they didn't do anything. They literally gave them, what was it, like a 5-second footage of her. I don't think the trailer was that long. Maybe like 30 seconds, maybe.
There's a long,
So they made a 30-second trailer, and all of a sudden they get a boatload of money from Microsoft and all this extra PR that is only going to help them sell, on top of the fact that there was all that hoopla about, wasn't it Tomb Raider undersold? They're saying it undersold last year, the original.
These are expectations.
Come on, give me a
Yeah,
break.
which is, I mean, that game was awesome. I don't know how it undersold, but it was like, yeah, their expectations, right? So
it's easy to undersell when you set your expectations in the sky, right?
Yeah. So I think that blow up with the Microsoft exclusivity blow up, I think it's just going to cause Tomb Raider to sell a ton on whatever console it comes out. When it comes out on Sony, I think it'll sell a ton there too.
But I mean, I guess that's the thing they are giving up, is that the initial sales on the PS4, which has a much bigger install base right now, they're making those people wait.
Right, but they could easily take their truckload of Microsoft money and then use it as
hopefully
as
it
PR
makes up
marketing.
for that. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, they could use it as marketing for whatever the PS4 release date is.
yeah.
Just push it. I mean,
What about the tears of injustice, Andrew? Of Tomb Raider started on PlayStation. It should be on PlayStation.
Wait a minute. Where did Tomb Raider start?
PlayStation.
You mean PC?
PlayStation 1? PlayStation
Are
1.
you sure it didn't come out first for PS1?
PS1?
I think it was PS1.
Yeah,
Yeah,
before
PS1.
PC.
I think so. I'm almost 100% sure.
I want to fact check.
Sean, get on.
I want to fact check immediately.
I'm almost 100% sure I'm right, but
Almost
I'm with
100% is
Frank.
not 100%.
either way, games change. Like, I hate how I feel like I'm trying to think of an example and I can't do it. PlayStation gets exclusive stuff and it's awesome. Oh, they're popular. Court of public opinion. PlayStation's popular. Everything they do is great. Everything Microsoft does is the worst. How dare they? And they turn everything they do into a negative and everything PlayStation does into a positive. And just accept it. They ponied up the money. They get Tomb Raider. Deal with it. You want to play it? Buy an Xbox. If not, shut up and wait.
Yeah, it says DOS, PlayStation, and Sega Saturn, all November 96.
DOS, baby.
Sega Saturn.
Because I played it on PC.
Okay.
Yeah, it was horrible.
But those
Another
triangles-
example of this would be like the Final Fantasy Super Nintendo to PlayStation kind of jump
Yeah.
of the same sort of thing. And I mean, people were pissed off then, so I don't think it's going away.
And then they lost it from Sony too, right? Then it went all like everything. It was Sony for a long time, right? Now it's Microsoft and PC and whatever.
Yeah, I think was it 10? No, it had to be after 10.
It was 12, I think.
Well, they released Crystal Chronicles for GameCube.
Yeah. That was like
Crystal
one of the
Chronicles,
first kind
baby.
of breach.
Yeah.
Crystal Cron. So, Chris and Alex, you guys have any thoughts on this deal?
I couldn't care less. I mean, it's a timed exclusive. If it was a full, like, I love full exclusives, and I totally buy consoles for that. Like, I'll always buy a PS4 just for Drake and pretty much anything Naughty Dog does. And
Well, I think
and a
that's
couple other
actually
things, but-
that came up as one of the big reasons why Microsoft wanted the exclusive window on this, is because I think they're going to time it so that it comes out at the same time Uncharted 4 does on the PS4.
oh yeah, okay,
Uncharted killer.
that makes sense.
That's going to be an insane window next year. That holiday
Well, yeah,
next year.
so much stuff
Yeah.
got delayed from this year.
Yeah, it'll be crazy.
Yeah, for me, I feel like I've been used to this kind of abuse for a long time because I play a lot of games on PC. I always have. And I feel like they're always just lying to us, right? Like every game that comes out, it's exclusive. And they just seem to leave PC completely, like they don't even consider it a platform, right? So when they're talking about exclusives a lot of time, it's exclusively on this, exclusively on that. And you'd find out a little bit later, like, no, it's available on PC. You just, they're not technically lying if they have a timed exclusive for a day that it's exclusive when it comes out, right? But I guess I've just become accustomed to not trusting anything that goes on at like the shows at E3 when they're saying this is real time, this is what the game's going to look like, all that stuff. I'm just kind of sitting there waiting, thinking, you know what? I'm going to play the game when it comes out, or I'm going to talk to a friend that's played it, and that's the only time I'm actually going to get any accurate information. So to me, it wasn't that big of a deal. And like I said, like Hawk, I'm cheap, so I'm behind. Like I have a big Steam queue, and I don't mind waiting a little bit and picking it up. Like the last Tomb Raider I bought for $750, and it's been great. It's been great for $750.
Yeah, that's
So-
a good price.
Yeah.
I bought it full price and it was worth it. That was excellent game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it comes down to the market being so fragmented now. There's so few exclusives outside of the first-party titles. So, I mean, I think that's why people freaked out at first when the announcement, it seemed like it was exclusive, because that would have been a huge deal, but not so much now. All right, let's talk a little bit about Mario Kart 8. Some interesting DLC
Love
announced by Nintendo.
Love those Mercedes cars.
Yeah, so I guess, is that one out now? The Mercedes
Yeah, it is,
one?
yeah.
So the first DLC pack they announced for Mario Kart had some new vehicles and some. It was branded with the Mercedes vehicles in there, and that had a lot of people kind of saying, "What is Nintendo doing?" Like, that seems pretty strange for Nintendo to be doing corporate sponsorship stuff with their games. And then they followed that up with an announcement of a new DLC pack that's going to have more characters and more cars and things that are, kind of going beyond the Mario universe and into the Nintendo universe, I guess. And a lot of people seem pretty excited about that. To me, it just seems like Mario Kart is the one game that has sold like crazy on the Wii U, so they're just doubling down on it right now. What do you guys think?
I think the DLC's been a long time coming. It's really nice seeing Nintendo actually putting out updates. Like, you'll play more. Like, I love Mario Kart. You play it, you finish it, and then it's done. It's so nice actually having more tracks coming out. I think they should have done it a long time ago. And branching out from the Mario characters and putting in Zelda and Animal Crossing in there, that's just for their amiibo stuff. But I'm totally cool with that. I mean, the amiibo stuff's cool. Link is pretty awesome. So
Talk about the Mercedes. They want to hear about the Mercedes.
No, nobody cares about the Mercedes.
The Mercedes.
Oh, it's awful. It's the worst thing ever. I hate seeing it in there. I wish I could delete just that DLC pack. I hate seeing just the cars in that list of cars. It looks awful.
You know what ruins it for me, though, is that you can tell that there was a meeting at some point where they sat down and they're like, listen, Mario, everything in Mario is exaggerated, cartoony. That's not the type of image that we want for Mercedes. And they sat down and they're like, listen, we'll give you the CAD data. We'll give you this awesome, perfect model of every single Mercedes vehicle that we produce. And you put it in exactly the way we give it to you. We don't want exaggerated lines. We want, what like their colors are like black, silver, and white. And that seems to be basically what's in the game too, right? Like, it's such a sellout. It doesn't fit well. And you can tell that they just bowed to the corporate pressure because of the check that was being given to them, right?
I would question Mercedes in this.
Yeah.
Who plays Mario Kart? Kids? And guys like us in our 30s who can't afford Mercedes.
Grown-up kids,
Who are they trying to appeal to? I don't know many business types and my friends who work in banking aren't playing Mario Kart every night and thinking, I got to get a Mercedes for my next car because it's in Mario Kart. I
don't think that's the angle necessarily, though. What I think it might be is, I know that in specifically in Japan and in China, Mercedes is a very, very popular car, and it's very prestigious.
Yeah, that's true.
It might just be they just want to sell the DLC to people, right?
And maybe get to kids while they're young and instill Mercedes.
True.
Mercedes is cool.
That's what Mario drives.
It's not just an old lady car. Yeah.
Oh, it's cool in Japan, yo. It's cool everywhere. Fucking shit costs money.
Now, one thing I wasn't clear on, is the Mercedes DLC, do you have to pay for it or is it free?
That one was free, I think.
Yeah, it's free, yo.
Oh, well, then that's cool, man. What's wrong with that?
You
get some for free, you get some
Let's
ads
put the
in there.
DeLorean in there then.
I mean,
okay, so you listen. How do you feel about the new U2 album, Sean?
I haven't listened to it. I don't use iTunes. Doesn't affect me.
Because I'm with you. If it's free, it's free. Don't complain.
what if I give you a free bag of shit? Like, it's
Well,
Well, it depends if you have a garden or not.
yeah. If you drop it on my front lawn, no. But
true. If you're like a fetish or something.
I mean, as long as it's my choice to accept this shit.
Or decline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not how iTunes worked.
Are you still talking about Mercedes?
You can hide. You can hide. It's a free bag of shit.
It's true. You could light it on fire and give it to somebody else. I mean, there's always uses.
Do you have any strong opinions here, Huck City, on the Nintendo
The
selling
YouTube
out?
album? No, I don't care.
You too,
They can do what they
Huck.
want.
You too.
If they get money, if YouTube gets money, that's fine by me. I don't know why people are complaining about getting free stuff. I'll accept your bag of shit any day.
With open arms.
That's right.
I'll wait for
I will
the
make
Christmas,
a garden.
Wait for the Christmas episode. I'm going to give Andrew a bag of shit. Of my shit, and he must accept it.
I will.
So this might be a good transition then. Speaking of Apple giving stuff away for free, and just all the big announcements that they've had recently. What do you guys think about the Apple Watch? Is that something that gamers should be interested in? Are there some opportunities there? Is this thing the most useful or most useless piece of technology ever made? What do you think?
I'd take it if somebody gave it to me for free. I don't know. The thing that got me on it, I thought it was kind of okay until we found out that it doesn't work on its own. You need to have an iPhone in your pocket. And right. I didn't realize that at first. I thought it was just, hey, it's a phone on your stupid hand. That's fine. But it's not. It's just an extra device you got to carry around. And I don't know. To me, I don't really care.
It's interesting, actually. Sloan pointed out made a good point. He was saying they basically got it backwards. If they had gone ahead and made the watch the phone, so you can have it and use it as a phone, no problem. If you go and buy an iPod on the side, then your watch would convert your iPod into a phone that you could use full size.
That's a much better idea.
It's a much better application. Like I agree totally. Like having the base station basically in your pocket, so that to enable this like tiny little touchscreen. Like I watched the video as. I'm not anti-Apple. I've just nothing they sell.
Yes, you are.
I'm anti-Apple, but nothing they sell is like compelling enough for me to shell out the cash, right? And I feel the same way about the phone. Like I just feel like I'd have to buy in so deep to be able to make use of it, and even then, it's like it feels more like a novelty. And you know what? I'll tell you, the thing that I don't like the most about it is Apple prides themselves on their design. Man, like you could not come up with a more simple design for a watch. It's a box on a band. Like it looks like a candy watch. Have you ever had those like candy necklaces where it's like a big block of candy with the time printed on it and then a thin little band? That's what it looks like to me. And I can't believe that they're selling that. What's the gold one cost? Like $600 or something like that? $700?
Yeah, the base one's like $300 or something. Or
oh man, yeah, I can't see it. I can't see anybody. I can't see a guy walking into a trading floor wearing an Apple Watch and anybody taking him seriously.
Unfortunately, you will.
I know.
Yeah, except he's getting the alerts, everything coming at him as fast as possible.
He's got
and he's going to make the most money.
Step
Tell you what, if it's going to make him an extra $1 that day, he'll wear that Apple Watch and he'll like it and he'll fuck it every night.
I want to see someone wear like a bunch of them.
Yeah, like some guy comes up to you trying to sell them.
Well, yeah, you might have different phones. You might have 3 of those Apple going up your arm. You might have
if you
for
want to
different
get a
time zones.
widescreen.
You might have different shit going on. The Apple Watch probably will revolutionize timepieces in the 21st century, coming at you very soon.
Ooh, revolutionize porn watching on the bus.
I'm with you. I do not see a case for it yet either. Me and Alex are on exactly the same page. If you didn't need your iPhone, it'd be compelling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm either at home or in my car mostly, or sitting down at a desk where I have access to my phone right at my desk. In my car, it already Bluetooths to all my stereo equipment. I don't ever have to take my phone out of my pocket. So if I want my messages to display on my console, they will. When would I need that where my phone is at a place that I can't get to it? I don't understand.
I'm also a little biased. I'm a hairy son of a bitch. I can't wear a watch. It's awful.
It's funny because like I remember wearing a watch for like I don't anymore, but wearing a watch for a long period of time after smartphones became like a pretty popular thing, and people were always commenting, "Why do you wear a watch and just check your phone?" Right? And it's funny that it's come full circle that like people have pretty much abandoned watches because they have their phone on them. And now Apple comes by and says, yeah, the watch is the thing to have. And everyone's like, oh, this is great. Why has no one thought of this before?
Now, if Tomb Raider is exclusive to the Apple Watch, I will buy one.
Well, I'm not an Apple fanboy. I think Frank can attest to that. But I actually, believe it or not, I actually think there's potential here for this. I mean,
Well, okay, well, let's be clear. You're not an Apple fanboy by any means, but the one thing you do own is an iPhone.
Yeah, I'm not big on Macs, but I generally like their.
So you happen to own the one piece that you need to buy this
devices. But I mean, the whole thing is like I remember when the iPad came out, and people were kind of like, "Why would you ever buy this? Like, this is just a giant iPhone. Doesn't make any sense." And I felt that way too. And then, within a year, just everyone had one, and it was useful, and it found its own niche. And I think the watch will probably do the same thing. I mean, the talk of it being connected to the phone, I guess that's a valid criticism, but that's no different than the other smart watches that are out there. They're all kind of the same. They all communicate with your phone. And for me, like, again, I think part of it is how long it would last on a charge. But like I'm charging my phone sometimes in the house, and I don't always have it on me. And obviously, like a lot of people, I don't have a landline or anything. Like, it would be nice to be able to have my phone somewhere in the house, but still have the updates coming to the watch. I could see that being useful. And hey, they announced an arm wrestling game for the watch, so I'm in.
It's called Broken Screen.
Well, maybe one use. When I break up my phone when I'm on the shitter, I'm always scared because, sometimes when I'm done, I have to wipe or and I'm like, where can I put it? Sometimes I rest it in my underwear.
Sometimes you have to wipe?
Well, sometimes nothing comes out.
Okay, when I wipe. And then I'll try to find somewhere in a stall that I can lean it without, I'm worried it's going to fall. At least with the watch, I don't have to worry. I can just use my watch to browse or whatever I'm doing while I'm shitting.
Do you just never FaceTime with anyone when you got to wipe? Just make sure you hang up.
All right.
Yeah, make sure you don't wipe with your left hand.
You could also just get one of those exercise armbands for your phone.
Yeah, like for the Wiimote kind of armband things, so you don't drop it.
Yeah, that would work too. But
Or just a piece of tape.
Yeah, a piece of tape, definitely.
I started seeing that as soon as the watch was announced, people taping their iPhones to their arm, and it looks better than the watch.
What?
It does. It looks like what were we saying? Pip-Boy or do you remember Leela from Futurama? Her little like arm computer is way cooler than the iWatch. Way cooler.
See, I think that's why I like the idea of a high-tech watch, because I grew up with like calculator watches and like a Star Trek Wrath of Khan radio watch. I'm waiting for the next evolution. That's what it is.
Can we do something real quick? I just want to go around between everybody. Tell me how much you think the guy who designed the look of the Apple Watch gets paid a year. And tell me then afterwards whether or not you think you could do his job.
$2 million.
$2 million a year?
Yep.
$80K.
$115,000 a year.
$250.
I was going to say somewhere in the range of $300,000 a year. Is there anybody here who doesn't think they could have designed that watch?
Oh, so I thought you knew how much you made.
No, I don't. We should. What is that? It was me. I wanted to keep their expectations low so I could one-up it with the next model.
Well, I mean, again, I think with the design of a lot of Apple's devices, they do have a way of putting out something that's simple, but nobody else had thought of it up to that point. You know what I mean? Like, they boil it down to just the essentials, and you could look at it and be like, wow, how did nobody else do that? But nobody else did do that. You know what I mean?
I think we're spoiled.
We haven't even seen it functionally yet, though, Sean.
I know.
So I'm
not going to buy one. Let me just clear that up.
Whether it does what people think it does, or is they thought of this, it may be literally a miniaturized version of your iPhone screen, which is not that impressive. And even Sloan at work, Sloan's the other member of Pixelnuts who is not here with us today, but he used to wear I think a
iPod
Nano with a band, and it's just exactly the same thing.
And it looks better than the iPhone. And the guy who designed that band on Kickstarter probably made less than $30K a year.
Sorry, Andrew. What were you saying?
Oh, I was going to say, I think we're just spoiled technology-wise. If you step back and realize that there is like this crazy touchscreen computer on your wrist that's like, I don't know, 2 inches by 2 inches and fully functional, and a phone and a radio and internet and music player, and you can fit 1,000 songs on it. It's pretty incredible. Although I personally have no use for this thing at all and would never buy it. I don't know. People might want it. I think it's more for people who are too lazy to take their phone out of their pocket and want to conserve those calories by just turning their wrist. But I don't know.
See, I would give you a job marketing for Apple just based off that. That's amazing. Some people might want it. It's for people who are too lazy to pull their phone out of their pocket. Like,
that's right.
Just like, don't treat your customers like idiots, man. Tell them the truth.
Well, have you seen Crazy People?
No.
You have? Oh my! You've got to borrow Crazy People.
All right.
Crazy People is a Dudley Moore movie from 1991, where he's an advertiser and goes crazy.
Oh, I've heard of this movie. Yeah,
and he talks to insane people to come up with new ads, and it's just telling the truth. And the first,
it's right on my
the
alley.
first 40 minutes is amazing. After that, not so great.
So I'll love it after 40 minutes?
Yeah.
And you'll hate the first 40.
All right, let's hit a couple more quick stories here. One that I know you guys wanted to talk about was the new Steam update with Curation. I don't know the whole deal with this. Can you break it down for us? What exactly is new here?
Yeah, so Steam underwent a pretty big update this last week, and with it they've introduced this idea of curation. And so the basic breakdown is anyone who's on Steam has realized since it's been created, more and more games get released on Steam every year, and it becomes harder and harder for them to target you with games that you might be interested in. And so they've had a bunch of they've made a bunch of efforts towards trying to make it easier for you to discover new games. And this is their latest one, which is essentially how Greenlight works, where you have recognized groups of people. Like, anybody can be a curator, basically. But what a curator is you sign up for it, and you pick out games that you think are noteworthy, interesting, and whatnot. And then people can essentially follow you, and through that discover games that might be interesting to them. So all the major gaming websites have jumped on this, along with like a lot of people who do shows and stuff like that at IndieCade. Indie Mega Booth has their own curation, and a lot of gaming celebrities and game developers as well. And so it's basically like a customized storefront. So they still have the typical storefront where anything that would be interesting to the mass group of people will be displayed up there. But they also have this subsection that cleans up the store dramatically by only showing you stuff that they think you'll be interested in.
Now, have they added a monetary thing where if you're a curator, you get a cut if someone's following you and buys the game?
Not that I know of, but I wouldn't be surprised.
That's pretty cool. Anyways, you guys should be curators.
Yeah.
But you guys should only put games on there that you all agree are awesome.
What if I become a curator and I only put games on there that people pay me to put on there?
Yeah, deal.
Well, I mean, every form every form of media has had to deal with that, right? And I mean, there's lots of stuff going on with games, like conflicts of interest like that, going on with games right now. But like payola scandals back, with radio back in the day, they had to overcome that, right? And I think that happens anytime there's a new form of media. Somebody's going to pay them to get their time, and people just have to oust them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea of it just kind of being open to anyone, like it kind of is similar to what happened with social media in the sense that you can kind of pick and choose where you want to get your news from. You don't have to rely on, a few major news sources and live with whatever biases they have. So I can see that being useful. And I think that's definitely a problem. I mean, you guys must think about this a lot because so many indie games come out and it's really hard to get noticed. And I think it's even worse on the App Store. It's just impossible to, put out a game and if you're not, with a publisher or something, you're not going to get noticed. And you really have to come up with some creative way to promote yourself. But I guess this way potentially the cream will rise to the top anyway.
Yeah, I think they saw what the App Store has become, and it's just a move to try and circumvent it, going in that direction, right?
Yeah, I like the curator thing. I think it's kind of neat. You could follow people that you like, and they could be, Twitch streamers or YouTubers or just some random jerk. And the cool thing is with the curator program is it'll sort your games based on how many of the people you follow like that game. So if you follow 100 people and 50 people like this game, that'll be on the top of the list.
And will it remove stuff I own already?
You can filter for that, yeah.
Yeah,
and
it does already list you own this game or it's in your library, but you can remove it as well.
Yeah, and you can filter out like software and DLC and that kind of stuff. So if you just want to do games, it'll do that. So it's kind of cool.
Huck City, any thoughts?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, I think this last news story was one you suggested. I don't know the whole deal behind this. EA Access is a new thing they recently launched, and does this give you access to full games, or is it just for DLC, like a subscription thing for DLC for their games?
Some full games. So I think right now how it works is it's $5 a month or $50 for a year, and you get Battlefield 4 and I think Peggle 2 for free, kind of like as long as your EA Access, or maybe it's forever. I don't know. It might be like PS Plus where it's like as long as you're a member kind of thing.
No, I think it's just subscription.
What's that?
Or are you going to say there's other games too?
Yeah,
you get. Are you saying there's some games that you get forever and some that are only during your subscription?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I think you get the old versions of Madden and FIFA as well.
Oh, right, yeah. And then the other thing is you get, I think it's a $10 discount off of digital versions of new games that are released while you're a member. And so I wanted to talk about it because I think there was like this sort of like negative spin to this that kind of came off. Like people were against it. And I don't know, I personally wouldn't pay, like I wouldn't keep subscribing or anything, but I don't see why. So I think this is kind of like they're trying to match PS Plus in a sense, like get
Sounds
their
like
own
it, yeah.
sort of like PS Plus subscription.
I would add video game Netflix as well and play PS Go or
On
PS
Live or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, so sort of, except the EA library is like not on this, right? I mean, EA has a huge library,
yeah.
and they don't have they barely scratch the surface of stuff that's on there. But I think for me, if I were to get this, I don't know why you wouldn't. So I'm a big sports gamer, right? And the thing with sports games is almost all of them come out, all the ones I'm interested in anyways, FIFA, Madden, NHL, NBA. Well, maybe not NBA right now, but they all come out sort of like in the September, October, August kind of window. So if you could be patient, why not wait until like October, pay $5, and then get $10 off of, 2, 3, 4 games, how many you want to buy, and then just keep the one, just get it for $5. And you would save yourself almost $40 if you're going to buy those games already. And I think that'd be a great deal. Plus, for that month, you can play those free games you want to play. And I haven't heard really anyone talking about it from that perspective. I don't know if there's some, loophole I'm missing.
Well, it's not. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like it. If it's like PlayStation Plus, it would be you have to keep subscribing in order to keep playing those games.
I don't think it's that for the games you buy for discounted prices, though. As far as I know. I hope not. That would be even worse.
Are you only obligated for 1 month then? Is that what you're saying?
I think so. I think you could do it monthly.
Okay.
But then the other thing I was thinking about this is that I wonder if EA is sort of just kind of dipping their toe in the water, and eventually they're going to use EA Access sort of like how Sony has used PS Plus on the PS4 to lock out multiplayer in their games. And I wonder if they're eventually going to roll it out where you need to subscribe to to EA Access to play online EA multiplayer games. Because I know that all EA games go through EA servers, even if they have to go through Microsoft servers first. So they do have the ability to sort of lock you out if you don't have this, unlock key essentially. So I wonder, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Do you think
Like they have that with Origin already, right?
Yeah, I was going to say it doesn't seem that far off from their strategy with Origin. They're trying to build their own storefront, build their own audience, and it seems like they're offering their core games that they know people like, and if they can get a bit of a discount in order to buy those customers and get them used to it, then yeah, they can kind of start building the wall, I guess.
And they had that multiplayer thing with some of their games already. Like I bought Mass Effect 3 used, or 2, I don't remember whichever one had multiplayer for the first time. And I couldn't play multiplayer because you had to pay extra to play it, and I didn't give a crap because I didn't want to play it. But same kind of thing, right? It was a board like a gate that you had to pass through. You had to get Origin, you had to sign up and
the online
key
or whatever?
Yeah, unless you bought it brand new, and that was their incentive to stop used game sales. But
right.
Oh, there's so many Origin games I want to play that I haven't played yet.
You gotta get on console, man. That way you can
I can't
avoid
do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
So there's a subscription for Origin, though?
No, so you had to sign up, and then if you bought the game new, then you got a key to play it online for free. And then if you bought it used, then you had to pay $10 to unlock the online mode.
It's used game tax, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That was on consoles too, though.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, I really love PS Plus. I think it's really awesome, but I don't care enough about one particular publisher to have its own subscription just for their games. Like, I'm not a big sports guy, I guess, for gaming, but like I like PS Plus because you just get games you otherwise might play, right? Like I'll download whatever the hell's out that month and be like, oh, I'll check out whatever weird Connect or
I think it's a fair like value proposition. Like if you're going to sign up for one of these subscriptions, right? Like the developer gets a consistent income because that they can predict, right? And you get a slight discount on games, and I think that's totally fair reciprocation if it's done well. But yeah, if it's the basis for something completely insidious, it should be avoided.
Well, I mean, EA definitely has that reputation, but I do think there's a lot of people who only buy EA games. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? So there's probably a lot of people out there that would be interested in this.
They got mass appeal, man.
I also think it might have something for Frank in here because I'm reading the details and it says that they will give early release versions of games.
Oh yeah, you get a week early. That's the other thing.
Exclusives.
Oh snap!
I definitely
you get a week
thought
early
about
access
it.
to any game.
Man, I'm kicking myself right now.
Why is that?
I wish I would have gone full blown digital for this console era.
You don't. You love the boxes.
I've changed my mind,
and
man.
start clean, man. You can do it.
No, it's too late. It's too late. And it would have been, it would have been perfect. It would have been perfect if these internet whiners didn't fuck up the Kinect always on so I could play my games without having the disc in the system. I could have had my cake and I could have ate it too. But these fucking pussies ruined it for everyone. These cheap pieces of shit. And now I'm fucked, and I got to change the disc every time I want to play a different game.
So is this an example of what happens at Pixel Knots when Frank stops by?
This is light.
I was going to say, though, Frank, we were talking about fappening the other week, and you were saying how much you value personal privacy.
Okay. Yeah.
So where does that sit with Kinect always on, my friend?
Yeah, they're watching your balls.
Well, you know what? Everyone thinks this is all part of some... I know I'm a big conspiracy guy, but I just don't think they're recording everything and
why wouldn't they?
Because it would require a lot of data.
They're just recording the metadata, how long you sit masturbating in front. That's all.
But how do they know I'm masturbating and not just playing the game?
Frank, are you just saying that because the Kinect's looking at us?
It can tell your heart rate and your temperature.
Well,
and there's a
you know what? I'm honestly
masturbation threshold.
I guess it would depend if it's metadata or not. If they just have a record somewhere saying that I masturbated from here to there while playing Viva Pinata, I'm okay with that. I don't care.
I think if you masturbated at Viva Pinata, you'd be on some sort of list.
Yeah, I think you'd probably get somebody knocking on your door.
No, I'm
for Viva Pinata? The animals fuck in the game, man. They do a little dance. Yeah, believe me. We know what's going on in Viva Pinata. But, no. If they can actually they record me doing it, that's a different situation to me. Metadata, it's all good. Do whatever you want.
I'm pretty sure if they knew that about you, Frank, and Viva Pinata, the next like version would just have boobs and dicks. Like, well, this is what they want. They want pinata dicks. And
Give the people what they want.
just shake it and smack it, and stuff comes out.
So the exclusivity thing, it was a bit intriguing, but I already own all the games. Like, that's the problem. I own every game that they add to this collection already. So why would I pay for EA Access?
But I don't think you're the target audience for
No,
something
I'm
like that,
definitely
though.
not.
You're a collector, right?
Yeah.
And the collector never stops collecting.
No.
You know who should have a PS Plus type of thing is Nintendo. If they had a virtual console like subscription, with just like every virtual console game that comes out, oh my god, I would still pay for that. It'd be awesome.
You know what though? I bet they're making so much money not doing that they don't even care.
They're like Disney, man. They put it in the vault. Put it in the vault. Pull it out later.
It's true. I've bought so many virtual console games. It's sad.
I've doubled up on some.
Yeah.
I don't even play them.
I've tripled up on some.
See, okay, I'm not going to get into it.
Frank has
It's only
drawn
a 4-hour
parallels between Nintendo and Disney and Apple many times, so he's well aware.
Those three must merge.
You gotta like forge some rings, dude.
Is it like Kingdom Hearts, but with Nintendo characters?
That's the
and Steve
Triforce.
Jobs?
It's the Triforce. Oh my god.
I would play an RPG where I could be Link, like Mickey Mouse, and Steve Jobs fighting evil.
Oh fuck yeah, you would.
Steve Jobs would dominate.
Oh yeah, the Ghost of Steve Jobs. It'd be an awesome summon.
All right, well, we will get to GamerGate in just a bit, but why don't we jump into stuff we've played? Because I know people are just desperate to hear, well, mostly just Frank's thoughts on Destiny. Might as well just start there. Frank.
So I'm the only one who's played Destiny here, right?
I think
Yes.
Yes.
I've seen a video.
Well, I remember I popped in Destiny. I'll say this. I'm only level 21. I haven't gotten into the heavy grind phase people talk about. But, you know, for me, I really enjoy Destiny. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I had been playing Diablo 3 before that, and I've messed around with some other MMOs. And the mechanics of Halo, essentially, combined with MMOs is intriguing to me because I love the art, style, and ideas behind MMOs, but I don't necessarily like the gameplay. I don't find it that compelling. I haven't played Guild Wars 2, so that might be an exception. But I love Halo. So to combine Halo and that type of looting atmosphere, it works for me. And especially if I'm playing with other people online, it works in the sense that I used to play horde modes in Gears of War and just multiplayer stopping waves of enemies. So at least in this context, it's much more varied, right? You're doing different missions, strikes. It's the same idea: kill a bunch of enemies and try not to die. But there's at least a bit of a progression element, and it's not as repetitive. And there's new stuff every week. So from that sense of a multiplayer shooter that's not necessarily competitive, I think it works really well. Now I haven't gotten too much into the multiplayer yet, but even that, the PvP mechanics of an MMO are not that interesting to me, but Halo multiplayer is definitely a lot of fun. So at least I get that advantage of PvP in Destiny. So for me, it's a perfect fit. I can see how some people don't like it. It does get a bit grindy at times, and it's not a game that I sit down and play for 6 hours at a time. I usually play for 2 or 3 hours, get my fill, and then move on to something else. I'll admit the story is nothing amazing, but I mean, I've been on this track before. The stories in a lot of games are not amazing. And I'd rather have little to no story of an amazing looking game, like where I'm just taking in the visuals, than having to watch cutscenes that I don't give a fuck about. And so, I mean, it works for me. Everything about it kind of fits what I'm looking for in this type of game. It's very polished, looks amazing, has good mechanics, and a not too dense and overwhelming RPG system, which when you jump into games like WoW and even Diablo, it can just be too much to take at one time. Destiny kind of leads you into it, and the interfaces are simple, clean, and very, very good looking.
So, I mean, I guess the thing with a lot of these kinds of games is that the fun comes from interacting with other people, seeing the weird things that people come up with that, you know, the designers didn't really intend to happen. Like, is there stuff like that you've been experiencing, or what?
Not really. It feels pretty controlled.
Yeah?
Maybe not in multiplayer. I haven't done a ton of competitive multiplayer, but in the single-player missions and strikes I've done, it feels probably what they intended it to be like. It's not weird physics bugs and nonsense happening, which maybe is a downside to some people. For me, I don't care about that stuff.
How's the AI?
Well, this is where it would lose Huck for sure, because they've definitely scaled back the AI. Now I'm starting to play harder strikes, and the AI is getting better. But for the basic stuff, it's not that intense, and I think it's because it's a game that has to scale, and people can move in and out of each other's games because it's open world. So I could see someone else playing and they're a higher level. So if he could drag enemies and they follow him through the world, and I run into them and they kill me, it would suck. So there's definitely their enemies are contained to areas, and they are not that aggressive on the earlier levels, which I'm fine with.
I can imagine that being a huge problem.
Yeah, and I think you're asking the right questions about, like, how's the AI in a game like this. They definitely have to make cuts with AI.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I think that goes for any of those kinds of games.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, as long as you're playing with other live players, that it buys you a lot of leeway in terms of that.
Sure,
right?
yeah. And then they counteract that when, as the difficulty ramps up, there's more enemies and more powerful enemies, and that's where it can get kind of boring, right? Like, I did a couple of strikes last night, and it's just wave after wave, and you know, when I was done that strike, it was fun, but I'm done with Destiny tonight. And I know some people want a game that they can play for hours on end, and so do I sometimes, and sometimes I don't. Destiny is fun to pick up and play for a few hours, and hook up with some friends for a bit, and then move on to something else.
Yeah, it sounds very similar to Borderlands. Besides, I mean, it's more MMO-ish.
Yeah,
but,
it's definitely influenced by Borderlands.
Right, same kind of deal, right? You like, it's okay playing single player, but the heart of it was running around with a bunch of people, just shooting stupid dog creatures in the face, right? And that's it, right? It was they weren't overly complex enemies, but it was there to be with other people.
Yeah. And it is kind of weird how much people embrace and love Borderlands, and the reviews are amazing. And I like the game too, don't get me wrong. But it does feel pretty similar to Destiny, so I'm surprised I feel like there's a negative attitude towards Destiny on the internet.
It's Bungie. There's a lot of expectations.
Yeah, so let me ask you this, right? Bungie basically separated themselves from Halo and said, we're done with Halo, we're not going to do Halo anymore.
Yeah.
So for them to basically have the first opportunity in 10 years or so to make a new IP, is it strange to you that it's so similar to Halo? Like, it really feels like Halo from the look of it.
Oh, it does feel a lot like Halo, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it seems like they're afraid to take a chance on actually being creative.
Right? If you look at their history...
it's not clear, because it could have been Activision, right? Like, we don't know what they were doing. And
it could have been. If you look at their history, though, going back to, I think it was their second game?
The Crucible or whatever?
Marathon.
Oh, Marathon.
Durndale or...
Yeah.
Yeah. Has a very similar look to both Halo and Destiny.
So who's that to say? Is Halo copying that game, which now Destiny is copying Halo?
Definitely. I think so.
I mean, if anything, is it Halo or is it Bungie's first-person shooters? You have to give some credit to them.
It's Bungie, yeah.
It's true, but if they felt that way, like if they're just going to make the same thing anyways, why bother separating yourself from Halo? Why didn't they just make a Halo MMO?
So they can get rich.
Money.
Not Microsoft.
Yeah. Money and multiple consoles.
We're going to start our own company.
Yeah.
People want us. People love us. Give us the cash, Activision.
From the makers of Halo. Not quite Halo.
Yeah, exactly.
But really, it's Halo.
I will say this. I went to a midnight launch just because I was driving home from Sean's place after a podcast. Not a lot of people.
No?
No, it was very easy to get the game, and I was second person in line, and I got there just before it opened. And
they were talking about...
It was good for me.
They did say that it sold quite a bit, right? I forget the exact number, but I mean, I don't know. Those press releases come out for all the major games now, and it's like, yeah, we sold this many. fastest to this many or whatever. But I mean, for me, it seems like I don't necessarily blame them for doing something similar to Halo, because I mean, this is what they do best. They're kind of taking that and then applying it to the MMO space, as you guys have been saying, and I don't think there was anyone really doing that at this point. So I think that's kind of unique. But I mean, my question for Frank is, we've been talking for the last year or so now about these next-gen consoles and how everybody's waiting for the next-gen experience. There's been a lot of rehashing and remastering of previous games, but while people wait for, like, what's the real, next-gen game that's going to show us what these platforms can do. And I guess Titanfall was kind of one example of that on Xbox One, and for a long time, Destiny and Titanfall were side by side as like the two big games to wait for. So is it a next-gen experience, or is it kind of lacking in that regard?
Well, is it out on Xbox 360 and PS3 yet?
It is, yeah.
So, I mean, by default, my answer is no.
Yeah.
Because the experience exists. I would say visually, it's amazing. I mean, I still don't feel like... I'd say this and Infamous Second Son are closest to the most next-gen experiences I've had.
Yeah.
And even that's not saying a lot. I still haven't been wowed by a game, technically.
I want to see Sunset Overdrive. That game looks hella pretty.
Yes, I am so excited for that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason why there's some negativity out there is I think a lot of people who haven't played MMOs are picking this game up because they're seeing it as this is the blockbuster game for the next-gen consoles, and then they sit down to play it, and it's like an MMO, so there's just a lot of repetition and stuff like that, and that's just the nature of the beast, but I think a lot of people didn't know that's what they were signing up for, and that's a problem.
And I talked about this at Pixel Nuts, I think, right? Or it might have been with you, Sean, I don't know. I think that's why they had such an extensive beta and free beta process to quell expectations in a sense of story and what this game is. And for people who don't know what an MMO is, get it out there so that maybe the reviews and talk on the internet isn't even worse when the game comes out, because at least they know what it is and aren't completely shocked by there's no story for this game. I just shoot stuff all day. So I think that the beta was a calculated part of the release of this game.
I agree with you. People poop themselves over the Halo storylines, right? And to see Bungie put out something that's not story-focused, that's probably a lot of the big backlash for it.
Yeah.
I just want to weigh in for a quick second. This is slightly off topic. The best Bungie game ever made was Myth, and its sequel, Myth 2. And it's an RTS, and none of you guys have played it, and it's way better than Halo. And that's it. I'm done.
Those 4chan trolls are going to get you.
I'd drop the mic if it wasn't on a stand.
Now, I can usually... I'm assuming Chris is being sarcastic.
Not at all.
No?
He's not. He loves it.
Me.
Oh, I thought you were being sarcastic.
No, his friends like remaking the game. They're bananas over
Oh my
it.
God, they're still patching it. It's the greatest.
All right, so let's... Frank, the big question, Destiny or Titanfall?
Oh, it's got to be Destiny. I've barely touched Titanfall. It's not that it's bad, it just didn't hook me. Destiny, much better looking game. For me, more fun. Has competitive and cooperative stuff that's a little more interesting. And I'm getting hooked. I'm not hooked yet, but I'm getting there. And we talked about it a lot this weekend. We're going to play some more. It's got some staying power. I thought a lot of people seem to be done with it at level 20 and discarding. I am feeling compelled to stick around and get better with the game.
What's the level cap?
20, and then you get up to 30 only by improving your gear.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I'm still learning the nuances of that, and I think that's part of the grind problem a lot of people talk about online, and I wouldn't disagree. And that if you want a game you can play constantly, this probably isn't the game for you.
I saw something that they just came out with their first raid thing. And
well, yeah, the strikes, the legendary strikes, because you have to be level 20 or 22, I think, to do those. So they were giving people time to do those before they dropped them in the game.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, they're doing like events, right? Once in a while.
That's the one thing I like. It feels like, again, I'm exclusivity in Windows for stuff. It feels like there's stuff that's expiring all the time, new stuff, and if you want to do it, it's not too confusing to see like what's out there, and it's not too much stuff either. It's enough stuff that you can handle new events and kind of understand what you have to do.
This is like a fixed price.
Yes.
So how long are they planning on doing like new events, or is it
as long as they make money off the game?
All right.
And I'm sure they'll have DLC that costs money.
Hats.
So opening up new planets and stuff like that. I'm assuming there will be purchased DLC as well.
Right.
Gotta be.
So it's a $60 flat rate. It's not a monthly.
Oh yeah, 70. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you need gold or whatever the hell?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's possible that they're getting a bit of that cash then to finance that.
Maybe, I doubt it, but
Probably getting like 10 cents or something per person. At least
but
a
it's
little
on
bit.
unless they're getting PlayStation Plus money too.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. Yeah.
It's just interesting, like to maintain something like that. You know, you'd think it would cost a lot of cash unless they're just recycling.
Oh yeah, and when you see the gear and stuff, and I mean, even from what I saw in Too Human too, like it doesn't seem like on the surface there's a lot there, but in terms of how many armor sets and custom stuff and stuff, like it's enormous. How much artist work has to go into games like that, and making stuff look unique and cool and fitting together, and all these systems that need to be developed to make sure things look right together with different attachable pieces. And that's what Destiny's going for. Is gear is supposed to be the driving force for this game throughout time.
Right.
And if that takes tons of art and money to make that gear cool looking and have a lot of it.
Yeah, it's a big upfront cost, eh?
Yeah.
You got to know it's going to be successful, which, I mean, something like Bungie makes sense.
Yeah.
I have a question. I heard about this. I don't know if this was just like for the beta or what, but I had heard that Bungie actually employs people who kind of watch the live games happening, and they have the power to kind of like change and tweak variables as people are playing. Have you heard anything about this, Frank?
Like dungeon masters?
Like Hunger Games?
Kind of, yeah. Like a dungeon master. Like, yeah, if these guys are playing good together, I'll throw an extra loot, a little bit of extra loot their way, or maybe they're it's too easy, so I'll bump up the boss's hit points or something.
Have never heard of this.
No.
That'd be pretty cool. Just throw some dragons down.
If that does exist, I hate it.
That definitely sounds like a beta thing. I can't see them because you have a limited audience, so you can actually watch probably a more reasonable cross section of the games. But now that it's out to like who knows how many million people, it would be impossible.
Well, even in terms of as a test, right? If people are finding it too easy, just once in a while, cranking it up really hard and seeing how bad it is, or if they find it rewarding in a way for tweaking gameplay.
I would think, because it is something that's constantly needs to be maintained and tweaked. I don't know. They've got to be monitoring things in some way. I don't know if they actually have people interacting.
Metadata, man, metadata.
Yeah, I guess it's all about the metadata.
That's the next Matrix movie, Sean.
The metadata.
The guy who can read metadata. He sees the world through metadata.
Doesn't even see the code anymore.
Yeah.
Just blonde, brunette.
All right. Well, let's go around the table and talk about games we've played. So, Alex, what do you got for us?
I just got a PS4, so I started playing Infamous. I'm a huge Infamous fan, so it's really nice finally getting to jump into Second Son. And I agree with Frank. It's like it's super pretty, but you could tell it's, it's a first kind of draft of the next gen kind of games. I remember when the 360 came out and the games looked really nice, but you could still tell they weren't like really pushing the system. The game's awesome. It looks super pretty, especially the on the particle side. You can tell they really pushed it on that. My favorite thing about the game so far is probably the loading screen. It's just like a little circle, and it's just an effect, just spiraling in circles.
Really? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, it's silly, but it's like the what's it called?
Last of Us,
right? With just the particles. It's silly, right? But no, it's super fun. I mean, it's Infamous. There's nothing really different about it so far. You run and jump and shoot people stuff.
But the difference with me is how fast you run and walk.
No,
and
it's
traverse.
awesome. Yeah.
The traversal system. How far are you?
Not very far. Just the first couple chapters.
Do you have one power still?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Your head's gonna explode.
Yeah, but it already feels a lot better. Like you could tell they're ramping it up compared to the first Infamous. You could tell they were like, you know what, a lot of the fans are gonna play this game, so they're gonna get in there running, and it's gonna be too slow for them if they stick to the old stuff. So they've ramped it up each time, and it's awesome. I mean, a lot of those games do that, right? Assassin's Creed did that too. Mm-hmm. Assassin's Creed 2 compared to the first one is night and day. But no, it's awesome. I've been playing a lot of that. Played Guacamelee, a lot of Nintendo games. Just played Super Metroid again. And Mario Kart. I've been playing the hell out of Mario Kart. Looking forward to the DLC. So
Alex is good at Mario Kart.
I'm okay.
He beats me every time.
I play a lot. No, it's awesome. I mean, it's probably my favorite Mario Kart since Mario Kart 7?
64.
Or the DS
64.
one?
You're speaking my language.
No, 64 is awesome, but the DS one was probably...
Oh, that would be 5, I think.
Or 5 or something?
That came up before Double Dash, I think.
Did it? Yeah, I don't remember. That one was awesome. It was just solid. It had a good online system, really good tracks, really good co-op kind of system. But Mario Kart, super impressive in this one. It doesn't feel as rubber bandy. I hated the Wii one. I couldn't stand it. So this one feels really solid.
Nice, I agree.
Now, as a Nintendo fanboy, what's your take on the battle mode, controversial battle mode?
It's the worst thing ever. And the 2 DLCs that they announced, I was so psyched that they might actually announce a proper battle mode. I don't understand why they didn't just redo some tracks. Just put 4 friggin' tracks in there. The stupid battle mode in a race track is the worst.
Well, I've gone on rants of Pixel Nuts.
Yeah, no, it's the worst thing ever.
How long would it take a kid in Minecraft to build the basic square?
Yeah, it's 4 friggin' cubes.
It's
right?
a day of work. Give me a fucking break.
They already have the model. They just have to re-import block for it, man.
Yeah, motherfuckers.
That's all I want.
Yeah, they have all the assets. Just do it.
I fucking hate Nintendo.
That'll be the next DLC pack. They didn't want to blow their load too soon.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be really, really cool. So, yeah, stupid battle mode. I haven't played it. I mean, I played once and it was stupid. Didn't even bother. It's just too long and boring.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's the worst, yeah.
All right, Chris, what do you got?
I don't have a big AAA game, but I've been playing this game. What's it called? Gang Beasts.
Yeah.
It's a really hard game to remember the name of. It's awkward.
Yeah,
but
it sounds kind of...
It's a Double Fine published game that's on early release on Steam right now. And I say I've been playing it. It's more like we've been playing it. It's a multiplayer arena wrestling game where you play these loose sack kind of characters that with really loose physics on them. And you basically beat the shit out of each other and try and, once you're unconscious, pick each other up and throw each other into various hazards in the different arenas. So they have, one of them you're on, window cleaning scaffolding, and you can... I mean, everything in there is breakable, but you can smash the cables and knock a whole cable car down, or they have one that takes place on, a Ferris wheel, and you can jump off and hang on to different parts of it, or try and drag people off with you. So it's 8-player, and I think what's the max we got? We got 5 people today. I think that was the most we had. 8 arenas, and like I said, it's been picked up and published by Double Fine, and it's kind of in early release right now, so it's not really that polished. But I don't know, it's kind of the appeal with something like that. I really got addicted when we were working at Silicon Knights. We had access to Developer Network on Xbox, and we used to just download all these crazy multiplayer games. In some instances co-op, but we played the hell out of Bomberman every single day.
Oh yeah.
Explosion Man, Trials, just all these kind of wacky, far out $10 physics games.
I should have I didn't get this before.
What's that?
Chris loves Trials.
I love Trials.
The physics feel of Gang Beasts is similar to Trials.
Totally.
I didn't pick up on that before.
I'm surprised by that.
Yeah.
But I've been having a lot of fun with that, and it's to be honest, couch co-op games or couch multiplayer games like that. For me, it's more about the people that are around you than how polished the game is, and it's been a great time just trash talking.
It's a lot of screaming.
Yeah, a lot of death threats.
Sean loves games like that. He's probably
Trash talking games?
no. You love local co-op. This game's for you.
I do
pal.
like local co-op.
It's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. The game has like really awesome but terrible controls at the same time. It's like co-op meets wrestling. It's pretty.
Nice.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah. And then in addition to that, like I said, I picked up Tomb Raider a while back, and I've been working my way through that. I'm a cheap gamer, so it's a little bit late, but
Still not done that?
no, I'm not finished yet. I'm not finished yet. You know what? Everybody in this room seems to love Tomb Raider.
Yep.
I just want to say there's one thing that really bugged me about Tomb Raider. And it really bugs me about the new one, too. They're really getting close to that uncanny valley. Like, they keep moving towards realistic-looking characters, realistic-looking environments. All their facial animation in the new trailer, they're definitely pushing for realism. But everything that the character does is, like, comic booky, cartoony. She's not a real person, right? Like, she can leap off a 50-foot cliff and catch with a pickaxe, no problem. And I just feel like it's this weird dichotomy that's like they can't decide what type of game it is, and that bugs me.
I think that's just sexist, Chris. Women can do this.
Women, you're right. You're right. It is sexist of me to think that.
I thought you were going the direction of you were going to say that it looks so realistic that it bothered you that she takes so much abuse in the game, because I've heard that complaint from a lot of people.
No.
No problem.
If any
Loves the abuse.
No, I find them like it's I don't know what you would say. They're really trying to hit up that avenue, right? They're trying to make you feel for the character, but it feels manipulative. Like they're really trying to beat her up every single chance they get, and it gets ridiculous. Like to the point where I guess I would compare it to something like if you're watching violence in a movie, there's only so much violence you can see before it gets funny. Like if you're watching Army of Darkness, he falls into the pit and 8,000 liters of blood shoots out. It's no longer, oh my God, what happened to that man? That's ridiculous, right? And so for her, like every 5 minutes, she's breaking, like dislocating her shoulder or like getting a fucking piece of wood jammed up in her jaw or like falling through a burning building, and it's just like, okay, nobody can survive this, and the realistic take that they take on everything kind of throws me off on that. Anyways, that was a big long rant, but what I'm trying to say was I really like the game. I find it interesting. The mechanics, I feel like they definitely took the best of things like Uncharted. I actually feel a lot like there's a lot of Darksiders influences in the game, which is obviously from Zelda as well. Darksiders was trying to take a lot from Zelda, so but I just like the types of mechanics that they come up with in the game, like the craggy rocks that you can climb, like the rope covered areas that you can grappling hook, being able to like grappling hook people, and like you're upgrading your weapons and like your pickaxe and your bow and stuff like that. It's all really interesting, and yeah, I'm having a really good time playing it, and I haven't beat it yet.
Hey, have you beat BioShock Infinite yet?
No. I borrowed Alex's BioShock Infinite like it must have been a year now.
That's when you got your PlayStation.
Oh man, that was Christmas. Yeah. So it'll be a year in December.
Wasn't that on
Beat the damn
PlayStation
game.
Plus?
It's awesome.
I thought that game was on PlayStation Plus.
It was.
So you could probably give the game back, right?
Oh, I don't care. I have it on PC too, but I just want him to beat the damn game. It's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so that's it for me.
Cool. Huck City?
So, in my limited playing time over this past 4 months,
Yep.
I haven't played really anything, but I have been putting in a little time into, I think I talked about it a couple shows ago, Rogue Legacy I got back into, which is super quick, pick up and play, so when I'm waiting for stuff to happen, I can just pick up a game and play. It's real nice. And then I bought...
Well, before you move on, I think Frank, did you not...
when that
download
came out on PlayStation 4, I played it. I was addicted to that game. I played
it's
it
great.
about 4 days straight. I think I logged 40 hours,
Yeah,
50
it's
hours in 2 weeks in that game.
Holy cow.
Frank,
Yeah.
did that game come out on PlayStation at the same time as PC?
No.
No.
Did you buy
PC first.
Did you buy a new gaming PC?
No, I didn't know I wanted. Now, if there was a new, I would consider getting a new PC for Rogue Legacy 2.
All right,
because I absolutely love that game. And the only thing I found the second versions of the bosses way too hard. Did you beat any of those, Andrew?
No, I've only beaten one boss. That's how little I've played. I can't get any further, but I still love it. I mean, the hook of going back into the dungeon is just so addictive. And it's just not frustrating. It's one of those games where you play it, and you never get pissed off at the game for cheating. You get pissed off at yourself for screwing something up. It's really tight controls like that.
Did you guys play FTL at all?
Yes.
No.
You.
All right, just wondering.
I need to, because this definitely has sparked my interest for roguelikes. But I haven't played anymore, so how much did it spark it is the question.
It's okay. We're going to have to play lots of those in the coming months anyways.
Yeah.
FTL is a little more slow than Rogue Legacy. The other games I've played, though, were from the Humble Bundle 11, I think, I purchased. And it had Papers, Please, which I know is a big indie game that came out, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago now. And basically you play as like some sort of made-up Russian-ish border guard. And basically the whole premise is you take people's passports and then compare them with the official, what they need to have, and then you either let them in or you don't. And then they kind of throw in all these little twists like, oh, there was a bombing, so now you need this extra security card that you need to check, which then increases the amount of stuff you need to check, and you get paid based on the amount of people that you let in correctly. And then there's this whole side thing where you have a family at home, and you need to make money to pay for food and rent and heat, or that people start dying. So it's like this weird sort of, like, you're stressed to let people in, but then you're also stressed to make sure you don't screw up.
So it's essentially a communism simulator.
Kind of, yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
And then they throw in these things where there's like this secret order, and if you help them, they'll like start smuggling you extra money, but then you could get caught. And there's like all these like branching story paths you could take. It's pretty engaging, actually. I threw it on just because I knew it got a lot of hype when it came out and didn't expect to like it, but I'm actually liking it quite a bit.
You were ready to hate it.
I was ready to hate it. Hate indie games.
It's pretty cool. It sounds like my childhood in Poland.
Yeah, pretty much. And then the other game I played, which was also in this Humble Bundle, which I was challenged by Frank last show to play, was Gone Home, which I believe I beat in I believe I beat this game in about an hour and 10 minutes.
It's not
not a long game. But my first thought is, I don't know how this game has such a high Metacritic score right now. Yeah, I think it's like 86 or 83 Metacritic score, which is just ridiculous to me.
It's art, man. It's art.
It's because it's a lesbian love story.
It's a walking simulator.
It really is a walking. This is like,
and it's a lame lesbian love story. Like I said before, it is Degrassi Junior High love story, and the fact that people in the games industry view this as progression and story progression and art, I think is a problem. It should be so far beyond that at this point that that's a big deal. I mean, we're going to talk about GamerGate in general, but the fact that we're singling this game out, first says things about the industry as a whole, and second, the people commenting on it, it says something about too, that if you looked at this and thought this was a mature, thoughtful, artistic piece of video games, that says something about you, because it isn't. I can respect the idea of bringing those themes forward in games, but at least do it at a different level, or something that doesn't feel kind of childish and poorly written, in my opinion. I don't know. My problem, again, isn't that it's not a game, it's the story itself. This is a story game. It's pretty much, do you like the story or not, in my opinion. And I think people are giving it a free pass because it is a controversial topic being introduced in games. But if you really look at the story, it is not a good story at all.
The fact that somebody says that it's controversial says something about them. That's what you were saying earlier,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And the fact that I agree we need to push these themes in games, but I'd like to see it done well, and maybe not where it's the point of the game, right? It should just be part of the game, not the point.
Yeah, why does it have to be a surprise?
Yeah, and why do you have to mask it under this idea of it's a mystery, and maybe it's they do kind of pretend like it's almost a horror game, at least in the beginning, until you realize what's happening. So at least embrace that theme and have the game be about that, not that to be the stinger at the end.
Well, that's the thing. The reason why they want it to be a surprise is because they were of the opinion that it was going to shock people.
Yeah.
Right? And that kind of takes away any high ground they would have had in the first place in choosing that as their theme.
Honestly, the reason I think it's successful, like I mean, I didn't really like it either, but there isn't a lot of games out there like that where you just walk around and listen to a story. And so, yeah, maybe it's not the best written thing. It's not done by the people that can do it best. But nobody else is willing to do it and give it a try, right? And yeah, you play through it and it makes you feel like something bad's going to happen, even though it probably isn't. It made you feel something. And I think a lot of the people who did review it and did feel something for it was just the fact that it was a game. It didn't have to have fighting or mechanics or gameplay or running on cliffs. But you just walk around and still get something from it. I think that's its actual value. I think the actual story and all that stuff, I agree with you, isn't well done. But it's an opening, right? Games like that and Stanley Parable and Dear Esther. Like, you know, Stanley Parable seems kind of cool, but the rest of them, they're mediocre. But they're opening the door for other people to make something out of it.
We just need a name for stuff like that that's not game. Because,
like, for sure.
Like, you have a certain level of expectation, or at least I do when I play a game, that I want to be entertained, right? And when I find the actual act of going through gathering this story to be completely inconsequential, just boring and tedious, then
why couldn't you just have read a short story?
Just read a book. It should have been a short story. It should have been a short film. It could have been an episode of Degrassi, right? Yeah. Like why the reason to make it a game is just because that's the sexy, medium right now.
It's the first step to a holodeck. It's where eventually it'll be, interactive and you could actually do stuff with it. We just don't have that kind of A, technology for it, and B, the money behind it to do something that complex.
Yeah.
Like if Rockstar or something did, put $500 million into a walk around, find a story game, it'd probably be pretty kick ass, but those people aren't willing to take the risk for it.
It's called LA Noire.
Yeah, I guess.
And it's
right?
okay.
Yeah.
It's not that great.
Yeah.
But I think, honestly, like, the thing that actually made me really dislike it was just the hype behind it, too.
Yeah.
It's just everybody and I'm not talking about, like people whose opinions I don't respect. Like, friends I've had for a long time, and I really trust their gaming opinions, telling me that this game blew them away, and that it was something new and different, and I just didn't get any of that from playing the game.
Well, the reason I didn't hate it as much as you guys is because I heard how much it sucked.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like you guys told me it was the worst thing ever, and I played it, and I'm like, oh, this was kind of cool, I guess. Like, you got to see a little story, and it was contrived, and your actions meant nothing, but it had a cool atmosphere to it, and whatever, right? And it was mainly because I thought it was going to be a big pile of crap.
Yeah.
And it was, but not as stinky as I thought.
I mean, I will give it some credit that, like, the depth of the story that you got, like, you could get things out of it by exploring that not everybody would get.
Yeah, and that you couldn't from, like, a book,
which
right?
is some level of interactivity, but no more interactivity than you would get from a choose-your-own-adventure.
The only thing that you get from a game versus a book is that, and even though Gone Home's a bad example because it was just a fucking house, is that in a book, you have to imagine things, right? People have to write stuff for you, and you have to make that stuff up. In a game, we get to tell people what to see, what things look like, what things sound like, what music's playing, right? So we get to show all that to them. And it's like a mix between I think it's a good first step to a mix between a movie and a game, where we can show them exactly what they can do, but they get to participate in a little bit more than just sitting there.
Yeah.
And I feel it's a good first step, and that's kind of why I didn't hate it that much. But I agree. If you call it a game, it's a terrible game.
Yeah.
Right? Because mechanics-wise, you don't do anything. You're just like, it's a pixel clicker. Like, you're just clicking on things, hoping that they work, and that sucks. So I agree with that. Calling it a game is stupid. It should just be an interactive story or some crap.
I mean, I think what bugs me is that I think it's a game. I think the gameplay is fine. I think to call it a game is fine. I think I knew what it was rated. I knew that it was about, like, a lesbian love story, which I'm fine with. I don't care. That is a fine story to tell. But when I got in, the gameplay was actually like just like Alex just said, walking and pixel hunting.
Yeah.
I think there was one puzzle, and it involved opening a locker combination. I was just expecting more for such a like critically acclaimed game.
Yeah.
I was expecting more puzzles. Like even the fact that you didn't even have to write anything down or remember anything. The fact that like when you found a clue that said there's a secret panel here, you just looked at your map and there was an X drawn exactly where it was, and you just went and clicked it and it opened. Like there's so much more they could have done with that mechanic.
Even if they had fun. Yeah, that's a good point, Andrew. And they could have had 2 modes even, right? Gamer mode and just story mode, right?
Sure.
Where, you know, maybe they add a few more puzzles. It feels like, and I agree that they streamlined puzzles and how that works. And I feel their justification would be, we did that to put the focus on the story and not have you wondering what to do, but to advance this story. That's the whole point of the game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's people who want to have stuff happen too and like have to think about things and do puzzles. And it might not be that kind of game, but I think they could have almost had 2 settings on the game to appeal to both types of people.
Well, did you guys play PT?
No.
I feel that that's a good extra step to it. It was just all you did was walk around the hallway. It was just a loop, and you just did this loop over and over. But there was like a little bit of puzzle in there. You had to look around.
Frank, didn't we have a game idea like that? I feel like we talked about that once,
didn't.
where there was a movie or something where it was just a time loop, and we were talking about that it would be like the perfect setup for a game because you could keep going and trying different things each time through. I don't know. Anyway.
Groundhog Day?
Maybe.
And that's kind of what Rogue Legacy is.
Majora's Mask.
In a way.
But so PT is the playable trailer.
Teaser, trailer, whatever. Yeah, the Silent Hill.
The new Silent Hill game, right.
Yeah, and all you do is walk around, and there's a couple little puzzles you can solve. There's I think there's like 10 different ways to beat it. But for the most part, it's just experiencing the horror of it and the kind of scary stuff they throw on there. But there is puzzles, so these, and they don't tell you anything. You just have to figure them out.
There's not a map that says the puzzle is right here.
No,
go
and
up there and click it.
Like some of them are really stupid. There's like a picture hunting one, and they hide like piece of picture in the hallway, and there's some of them are just hitting in like really stupid pixel clicking kind of ways too. But at least there's a little bit of something to it. Anyways, you guys check it out. At the very least, it looks really pretty.
I've been meaning to check it out. I did download it, but I didn't. I'm the only one, I guess, who hasn't played Gone Home here, and I actually feel like I think I'm gonna love it. Like let's just put it out there.
It's only an hour, so you will.
Yeah, but I think I'm kind of I'm kind of with Alex in that like it sounds like the reason why it's been praised and why I kind of like the idea of it anyway. It's just that it's not about shooting people. It's not action martial arts. Like it's just telling a story, and I think we need to see more stuff like that. Clearly, it seems like this is not the high end of what can be done with that, but I'd like to see more stuff like that. So
I would say for me, I was actually enjoying it for the first like 15 or 20 minutes or so, but then when nothing else new was introduced, there was no progression of any kind of game mechanics. I just kind of didn't understand the point of the game anymore. I mean, telling a story doesn't have to take an hour and a half when you're just adding hallways in between each story point. You could have just made this game a 10-minute game.
Yeah.
And it would have the same effect with less like stupid random stuff to pick up.
Yeah, because a good game makes you learn something throughout the whole game. You never stop learning until it's over.
Yeah,
and a good book is like that too, right? Like there's always something to figure out or to rethink or like second guess.
It'd be like
right?
playing a Mario game where the only 2 mechanics were jump and run.
Yeah.
And you never got any powers. You never had any new enemies. Like the same enemy, there's only the mushroom guys. It'd be the boringest game after 10 minutes.
Yeah, once you master it, there's no point playing it, right?
Yeah.
We're kind of talking about the first Mario Brothers right now, which is amazing.
Well, no, I mean they had. Hey, they had firepower and swimming and
That's
different
true.
enemies.
Okay, you're right.
That's what I
Right?
mean. If you didn't have that, it would be boring.
What about
They'd
the
star-
original Mario Brothers?
Oh, the
Not
Donkey
Super
Kong.
Mario Brothers.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, like Mario.
Welcome to the show.
Not Super Mario Brothers. Mario Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Oh, like the fighting game almost?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That one has no
Oh, yeah.
underwater swimming or mushrooms or anything.
There's
like
competition, though. So you have a changing it.
that. It's pretty good though. It is pretty
Screen
good.
wrapping.
Right.
But that's like an MMO or like a.
Yeah, it's an MMO. It's better than Destiny.
A Mario MMO. Holy shit, man! That would be amazing.
Before we get too far off Gone Home, I have a question for you guys. I don't know how far you guys get into spoilers and stuff like that, but would it ruin the game for your listeners if I told you what one of the things I thought the game was going to cover that it didn't?
Well, we've already ruined and said it's a lesbian love story.
All right,
Yeah,
so
I think it's ruined completely.
That
okay,
is the
all
end
right,
of the
sweet.
game.
Okay, good. So when I was about, I'm going to say halfway through the game, and bear in mind I was told by all my gaming friends that like the story will blow you away. The climax is amazing. I actually said to Alex, I'm like, I know what the ending of this game is. I know what's going to happen. And I wrote it down on a piece of paper and put it on a shelf right by his desk. And I'm
Do
like,
you have the same power as Frank, by any chance?
apparently not, because I was absolutely fucking wrong. But my prediction for the game, which I think would have been a much more compelling and interesting story, would be that they weren't able to reconcile their lesbian differences and the problems that they had with their family. I was expecting to go up into the attic at the end and find my sister had hung herself. And I thought that would have been a really interesting climax to it, and just not having any of that come true. It just like...
It's almost more Degrassi in a way, though.
It would have definitely been more
but
shocking.
How many games really tackle the idea of suicide? Like, I can't think of many. Braid talks about it a little bit, but I just thought it would have been, if they're really going for a story that covers issues.
Yeah.
Depression Quest game, which
God,
will come up
alright.
during GamerGate.
Yeah, we have a suicide button in our screen in our game.
Nice.
We encourage suicide.
Yeah. Not kidding. It's in there.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, we kind of hammered it for what it is. I mean, there's nothing more to say about Gone Home, really. I don't know.
Oh,
I still
okay.
am amazed.
There is
that
one
it's-
more thing to say about Gone Home.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. This.
Chris knows what I'm going to say. I'll let him say it.
No, you say it. Let me write it down on a piece of paper, and then
Okay.
you can say it.
Does it refer to a game we've been talking about previously?
Yes.
Yes. That Gone Home
Oh my
exists in the
God.
same universe as BioShock when that story came out afterwards. Oh,
That was the
my
most
God.
pretentious garbage ever.
That
Yeah.
just makes me want to fucking
Yeah.
snap.
Fuck right off.
They wrote. I don't know if you guys heard that story, but I forgot what it was. They wrote something in the game, or there was like a book
There was-
or a mention,
There was a video game that was a reference to something.
and so it basically they're like, oh well, since that exists in this and exists in BioShock, they're like in the same universe, and it's just
And everyone
So
in the
this
world
is-
was like, no, it's not.
This is like fans saying that, or this is the creator of the game saying that?
The creators.
one of the creators did work for what are they called? BioShock dudes.
2K?
Yeah, the
Irrational games.
Irrational games.
Come on,
yeah.
you suckers.
So they did work for them, but loosely, I think. I don't know. Anyways, it was stupid.
So basically, it was BioShock fan fiction.
Yeah, pretty
Correct.
much. Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah, except everybody in this game somehow looked different than all of the characters in BioShock.
And there are no character models at all in this game.
But there's photos of characters where they look completely realistic.
Yeah, I guess so.
But those can be artists' interpretations.
Yeah, when you take a picture in the BioShock universe, it realizes you. You're no longer cartoonly proportioned.
Well, what if you went to somebody's house and the only photos they had were of Picasso drawings? And you're
That's
like,
not
oh,
a photo.
yeah, but so these weren't photos either. They were like
They're
drawings.
photos of. I think you're hired for her PR team.
Yes.
All right, Huck
it.
City, that's it for
It's
you?
all you.
Frank, you have other stuff to talk about, right?
Not a ton. I'll just say, played some Diablo 3, liked it. Played Rogue Legacy, loved that. Played Madden 15, pretty good. NHL 15, not bad. We'll talk about that later, maybe. Child of Light.
Why don't you talk about it right now?
No, Child of Light. Love that game.
Oh shit, I gotta play that.
It's amazing. Played Valiant Hearts. That's kind of a game that's similar to Gone Home as a story game, but actually has some puzzle stuff, and I thought it was really good.
I want to play that game.
Yeah, me too.
I also love the UbiArt engine in it.
Yeah, those guys are bastards.
I love that fucking stuff.
Did you play it on console or on iOS?
Xbox One.
Okay. Nice.
And I'll finish off with Shadow of Mordor, which I played for an hour today. It's basically it's made by or published by WB, Warner Brothers.
The W bird.
I'm assuming they've got some shared code from Batman. Could be wrong. But the combat is extremely similar. The vision, it basically feels like Arkham Asylum meets Assassin's Creed skinned with Lord of the Rings. And the thing they add to it, the new thing they're bringing to the table is the idea of the orcs having leaders and an org chart essentially of orcs, an orc chart. How did I not come up with that? And you can find out intel about them and stop the power struggle by getting critical information and learning about where to find the most powerful people or orcs that if you kill them, it has bigger consequences and gives you more RPG stuff and helps shut down the orcs in the world. I'm just scratching the surface with that system right now, but it is kind of a cool idea and gives you motivation to travel to different areas and target different guys. And in the case of like the interrogation system in the Arkham games pretty much leads to unlocking stuff on the map. It kind of adds a bit more consequence to the interrogation system and finding key guys in the world. And so far it's pretty good. I could see apparently when people die, others will fill their spot, and that's one of the cool things. Guys you encounter later, or if a guy kills you, will ascend higher because he killed you and he's a notable. And cool. There's this kind of progression with enemies in a sense, which is kind of interesting. And I'm looking forward to see how that plays out.
Now the enemies are randomly generated.
I believe
well,
so.
Right?
Yeah.
Which they generate names for them and everything. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Once it generates it, it like stays and they get like a little legend. Yeah.
That's a cool idea, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm liking it so far. Haven't played much though.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested in that. I'm kind of surprised actually. Like, I liked. Do you guys remember like the Lord of the Rings games that EA did
for PlayStation 2?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were just kind of action games. I actually kind of like those, and but it feels like there hasn't been like were there any Hobbit games made or no?
Well, Chris had mentioned there was an RTS Lord of the Rings for Xbox 360,
right? NPC.
That was pretty good.
I guess
it was decent.
Lego Hobbit, but
yeah, those old Lord of the Rings games were solid. I don't know why they didn't do that from the Hobbit. The like side scroller ones. They had an RPG too, which was kind of fun, which was pretty fun.
Oh, there was that game that came out. Wasn't there a collector's edition that came with a sword?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was a Lord of the Rings game that came out. I never played it though. No one played it. It was terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. Just seems like I'm surprised they haven't been using that license much recently, but cool. Okay, I got a few things. I'll just try and whip through them. I'll start with my Mindfuck of the Month.
Oh, it's back.
Got another Double Fine game to mention. I don't know if you guys heard about this one. It's called Hack and Slash. Heard about this?
No.
Yeah, Zelda-esque kind of game.
Kind of Zelda-esque. The sort of premise behind it and the ties into the name of it is it kind of lets you hack into the code of the game. That's sort of the idea. So in order to solve puzzles and progress in the world, you have a sword, and that sword lets you, like you get up to a rock is in your way, and you hit it with your sword, and now you can play with the properties of that rock. So you can change like how many squares on the map it can move, or instead of fighting an enemy, you kind of hit him with this sword, and you change his aggressive variable to be false, so that he doesn't attack you anymore. Stuff like that.
This game was made for Sean. Oh my god, this is
Yeah, I mean,
ridiculous.
I thought the idea sounded really cool. Now, I haven't gotten that far in the game, and so far it hasn't really blown me away.
I don't think
yet.
you need to say that anymore. They haven't gotten very far in a game. That's just assumed.
Well, I mean, I've played a couple hours, and it feels like all I've seen are rocks and enemies that kind of fly at you. Like, I haven't seen much else. And there is one sort of puzzle, I guess, that I'm building up to where there's a rock that has, if you look at it, there's like a whole bunch of code that's on the rock, but you can't edit the code at this point in the game. So I'm assuming eventually you get the ability to edit that code. I don't know like how far it goes, but I don't know. It's definitely a unique idea. It was on their early access thing for a while, and now it's officially released, and it still feels a little rough around the edges, but I guess it's kind of to be expected with these kinds of games because it was one of their what do they call it? The Amnesia Fortnite or whatever.
Amnesia Fortnite, yeah.
So it was kind of just something they came up with, just out of being creative, and then just kind of decided, okay, let's turn it into a full game.
But it's definitely a fun play on that term.
Yeah, exactly. So
now when you hit something, are you presented with just a bunch of flags that you can turn on and off, or is it like to give you a command prompt or something like that you have to mess around with?
At this point, it's just a bunch of flags. So I was using a controller, and you can kind of just scroll up and down and move left and right to change the values. But I think because of the fact that I've seen, actual pieces of code, I think you can actually type little scripts and things at some point in the game. I just haven't got there yet. So, yeah.
It's a pretty interesting concept, actually.
Yeah, and I guess one of the things I heard about it, and one of the reasons it was in early access and everything, is just because it opens itself up to, definitely players can do things that they didn't intend. So I think they had to do a lot of testing to make sure that, things didn't get too crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the times when you're, working on something in development, you end up, coming up with bugs that you, like you said, you completely didn't expect, right? So it's modifying the properties could be positive as well as just like end up screwing you over because you didn't think them through, right? Is there like a time limit, like when you're hacking something? Do you have a limited time as to like how much time you can spend like messing with properties, or you can just like sit there? Does it like pause the game effectively?
It doesn't pause the game, but like it pauses that object. So if you hit an enemy, you can play with their properties as much as you want, and they won't attack you until you leave that screen. But other enemies could attack you while you're doing that.
Oh, okay. So there's some pressure on you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's on Steam. Not sure if they have any plans to bring it to any consoles. I'm guessing not. I will mention the Swapper. I don't know if you guys heard of this. This was on Steam initially, and then was released on PSN a month or two ago. It was part of their Play promotion. And it's definitely something that I knew would be up my alley because it's very Metroid-inspired. But the difference is that there's no real combat in the game. So the idea is you're kind of this guy exploring an abandoned space station, and you come across this weapon called the Swapper, which it reminded me of basically Metroid meets Portal, because the main mechanic of the game is that you have this gun that can create 4 clones of yourself, and then you can swap to one of those clones, but there are different colored lights that the Swapper can't work across. So like you might be able to create a clone through red lights, but you can't swap to that clone through a red light, and vice versa. So it's just a lot of puzzles coming from that. At first I was a little confused because I thought it was going to be more Metroid inspired in that there would be more power-ups and stuff. So I would hit a puzzle and kind of be stuck, and I would think, I probably can't do that yet. But you actually can. It's just pretty tricky. There is one other thing that they introduced later in the game, which is a gravity switcher thing. So you can hit these panels that take you to the ceiling and back to the floor again. But the cool thing is that you don't have to necessarily solve all of the puzzles. So if if you get stuck on a couple, essentially there's a certain number of orbs you need to continue on, and if you hit that number, then it unlocks the next part of the game. So beyond all that, there's kind of this cool story about the idea of like what is consciousness and stuff like that, because there's these rocks that they've discovered in space that actually can communicate telepathically, and the Swapper is kind of messing with their way of life because you're able to sort of swap consciousness. It's hard to explain, but it's a cool concept. And there's
Is this a prequel to Dead Space?
kind of
The guy looks like the Dead Space guy.
It did remind me a little bit of Dead Space. I mean, it's not really a horror game, but there is definitely an atmosphere to it.
Now, the whole game was made using claymation, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even know that when I was playing the game, but I read about it afterwards, and it's definitely, it has a unique look to it. Like, I was kind of mixed on it because some of it I thought looked really cool, and some of it, it's hard to put your finger on what it is, but some of it I didn't like the look of it, but it's definitely unique, and I was surprised to hear that it did that, so pretty weird.
It's on my list of games. I got it on my Steam library.
Yeah.
So is this the official second or third claymation game? Clay Fighters?
Clay Fighters.
Pamplemousse.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
So
Dominique Pamplemousse.
yeah.
Clay
so,
Fighters. It's awesome. There's no chicken run game or anything?
There's got to be another one.
There's a Wallace and Gromit game.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, there you go.
But it's probably just like looks like clay. Probably not actually made out of clay.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, the Neverhood.
Oh, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Clay Fighters is awesome.
Yup.
So a couple other quick things. I'll mention Shovel Knight. Did any of you guys play this at all?
Briefly.
Not yet, no.
I haven't, no, but I've heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah, I heard it's bananas.
Yeah, I thought I was going to love the game. It obviously is influenced by a lot of different NES games. It's got sort of an overworld map that's straight out of Super Mario 3. The main gameplay is kind of like Castlevania meets Mega Man because there's bosses. And there's... he has a shovel as his main weapon, and he can bounce on people, so it's kind of like the DuckTales pogo stick. So definitely you can see lots of bits and pieces, and it's really well put together, and you can definitely tell that they love NES games and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, the problem for me, which you can probably predict, is it's a little too hard. It's one of those games where I the first 10 minutes I probably played and was like, okay, this was a waste of money because I'm not even getting past this level. But I did come back to it a few times, and it is the kind of game where if you play it for a bit and then come back to the level, you'll kind of breeze through it a little. Not necessarily breeze through it, but once you figure things out, it's a lot faster. But it is also, there's checkpoints throughout each level, but you kind of, if you die, you have to start over again, and that frustrates me to no end when I have to kind of... I'm okay with, having a checkpoint system and kind of dying and having something really hard and doing it over and over and over again. But if I die and then I go way back, that bugs me.
Classic.
And on top of that...
Especially if there's a cinema, actually. That bugs me.
And the other thing is that if you die, you lose like half of your treasure that you've collected, which that treasure is kind of important for upgrades throughout the game. So there's a certain point, if you've died enough times, you might as well just start over from the very start of the level because it's not worth it.
So when you beat a level, your progression saves, though?
Yeah. So it's kind of...
isn't there campfires throughout the level, too, that you can...
Yeah, there's like 4
stuff.
checkpoints
Take
throughout the
respite
level, but it doesn't save that progress. Like if you actually turn off the game, you will start at the beginning of the level.
Right.
So I think I would be fine with it if you didn't lose your treasure and if you could save at each checkpoint. Then it would probably be perfect for me. But this was just a little bit frustrating. I might, I was playing it today actually, so I might keep going with it, but we'll see. And I guess the other thing I'll mention, I did since the last show. I don't think I mentioned buying a Wii U last show, did I?
I don't think so.
Nope.
So I finally pulled the trigger on the old Wii U. picked up
Nice.
a Skylanders
There it is.
edition.
Oh, I think we did talk about it, didn't we? Didn't we talk about the gold
I think
figure?
we mentioned it on Film Junk or
Oh, okay.
something because it was in the background and you commented on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of regret it now that I did that. Like it was the cheapest option, but I didn't realize the memory was going to be such an issue because it's the 8 meg one, and I thought
gig.
8 gig.
meg
or 8 gig, and I thought I
Right, there
could
we
just
go.
buy like a USB stick and use that to save stuff, but you can't. You basically have
What?
to
Yes, you
use-
can.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
You have to use like a hard drive. They recommend
Oh, yeah, for sure. Duh.
hard drive because the USB stick is flash memory, and they say it basically won't work. So I mean, yeah, I could buy a hard drive, but that just seems like overkill for what I need. So I don't know. I was a little annoyed with that because I downloaded like 2 games and it was already full. Because I got the Mario Kart 8, and then it came with a download of Super Mario Wii U, or whatever. Is that what it's called? So
New Super Mario Brothers Wii U.
that's the one. So anyway, I actually picked up a bunch of games for cheap, but the ones that I've played the most, I actually downloaded Pushmo World. I was playing quite a bit of that. It's exactly the same as the 3DS game, but it's good. Played a bit of Game & Wario. Kind of agree that the reviews, were kind of mixed on that. It's probably one of the weakest Wario games I've seen, even though I've liked most of the other ones. Mario Kart 8, enjoying it. Haven't played a Mario Kart game in quite a while, but this one is fun. I just have no one to play it with, so, single player is not always the most fun. And then I finally just, in I guess the past week or two, picked up Super Mario 3D World, which is amazing. Let's face it.
Yep.
It's. I mean, I wouldn't say I doubted that it was good. I kind of was feeling a little bit of Mario overload because I felt like they were putting out too many Mario games over the past few years. But this one is way better than the 3DS ones that they've put out recently. Just so much variety in all the different levels and the new costumes that they've added, and going back to the Super Mario 2 style of Mario, Luigi, Toad, and Peach each having their own slightly different skill set, like all that stuff. I also like the Captain Toad puzzle levels,
Yeah, those are the best.
which I understand there's a full game of that coming out by the end of
Yep.
the year.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm kind of psyched for that. And actually, I wanted to mention, have you guys heard of this iOS game, Monument Valley?
Yeah, yeah. It looks super pretty. I think I have it. I haven't played it.
Yeah, I really like the game. I think it looks amazing, and it's kind of this puzzle game that plays on Escher drawings where you can rearrange buildings and stuff. But I thought it was really unique until I played the Captain Toad levels in Super Mario 3D World, which are actually pretty similar. And then I thought, you know what? Seems like Nintendo did it first. But last thing I will mention is Hyrule Warriors, which I have played just a little bit of because it just came out. But read some mixed reviews on this and kind of, still thought, you know what? Like, this is the first exclusive Wii U game that's not just a rehash. That it seemed like something new, and I think it makes a very, very good first impression. I had a lot of fun with it in the hour or so that I played, but I guess everybody says it gets repetitive after a while, so I could see that. I mean, it's just large battles. I've never played any Dynasty Warrior games, but I feel like somebody at Silicon Knights had been playing something like this before. Do you guys recall?
99 Nights. That was it was a 360 launch title, I think. Very similar, just like minions
maybe
of
that's what it
armies
was.
that you're just like chopping through.
Knickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of knew the basic style of game, and I think it actually translates pretty well to Zelda. Like, it's just cool because Link generally I wouldn't call him a badass video game character, but it's cool to see him put in the context where you feel really powerful playing as him. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm just curious to see where else it goes, but I don't know. Thought it was pretty fun. Well, let's get to GamerGate. This is, everyone wants to hear what we have to say about this. Does anybody actually have a good summary of what the hell is...
Chris?
See, I know nothing about GamerGate, but I don't even want any of you guys to say what you think GamerGate is out of fear of prosecution.
Okay.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even think you can have opinion about GamerGate. The court of a public opinion has already been settled on GamerGate. There's nothing left to be said. I just feel whatever I say is going to be prejudged by existing opinions.
I'm prejudiced against both sides.
Well, I'll just say, it was kind of weird because, Huck City, you were saying you basically knew nothing that this was even going down.
No.
I was kind of, picking up little tidbits on Twitter and, seeing people posting things about, social justice warriors and all this shit. And
SJWs.
I was like, what is going on? And then I started kind of reading a little more into it, and it's weird how it grew out of this weird sort of backroom forum thing that all of a sudden became public, and then everyone was writing articles about it, and now I don't really even know. It seems like nothing's really resolved, but people have moved on, I guess. I don't know, but I guess the basic idea is that there's a female video game developer named Zoe something.
Quinn, I think.
Quinn?
Yep.
And she's the one who did that Depression Quest game that I mentioned.
That's right.
And I guess her boyfriend went online, her ex-boyfriend went online and basically accused her of cheating on him with a video game journalist from Kotaku. And that just blew up publicly, where some people were... I guess the main thing that a lot of people took issue with is they thought, well, this, game journalists are biased, and this is a good example of potentially somebody, sleeping with someone to get a good review for their game or whatever. But it became very sexist because, a lot of people were targeting her and calling her a slut, and just, all these death threats and people saying they're going to come to her house and rape her, and it just got, insane.
What? This actually happened?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It escalated quickly.
Yeah.
And then, it went from there to, I guess there's another a game journalist who's... I don't know. I don't remember her name, but she does a lot of videos related to, women's issues in games.
She does a bit called Feminist Frequency.
Right.
Is that, not Casparian or something like that, right?
I feel it's like
that sounds about right.
Cartesian or something.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have the name in front of me. But anyway,
we could probably find it.
She put her latest video.
No, I don't know.
She put her latest video out, and I don't know if her video was even
look it up.
Referencing. Somebody else look it up. I'm talking.
I was talking to Frank. I motioned him. It's
okay.
It's a radio problem.
So she put out her latest video. I don't even know if her video was actually referencing the Zoe Quinn stuff, but she just happened to put out her video around the time that this thing was brewing, and it was about women's issues in games. And then people jumped on her and started making death threats to her, and it just kept spiraling. And I don't really know why this all came out all of a sudden. It seemed like it was a combination of people, feeling like game journalists can't be trusted, and men who feel that all of a sudden women are, stepping into their domain, and that games should be only for men or something. But then it just became a lot of gaming sites writing about this thing, and a lot of people saying, I don't want to be considered a gamer because this culture is bullshit. And
hashtag not all gamers.
Yeah, and so I think that's kind of where it's at now. I don't know if they're... Oh, I guess there was also the Phil Fish thing, where he kind of came to the defense of those two women who were being harassed, and then people hacked him, and then he basically said, I'm out, and claims that he's putting his company and the Fez IP up for sale because he doesn't want to deal with this bullshit anymore. So, like, it's just out of control. So, I don't know. What's your take on this? Like, is this a thing? Why is this happening? Is this a problem? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think first and foremost, so one of the big issues that came along with it was that there were people on the, I'll say the gamer side of things, who I think had legitimate concerns about the relationship between games journalists and games developers, independent games developers. But their voices are not being heard amongst all these goons who are posting people's personal information on forums and trying to threaten people into withdrawing from the gaming community. Like that kind of stuff can't be tolerated. Like it's ridiculous. And I think that's what a lot of the focus of it has been on, is just, yeah, there's this mob of goons out there who are just obviously like super sexist, right? I guess a lot of it focused on 4chan and such, for kind of being a haven for that kind of behavior. But beyond that, I actually think they have some legitimate concerns as to the ties between journalists and independent game developers, but also just like the focus these days on like social justice warriors, as they call them, but like this being how can I say this? I guess what I'll say is I think the reason why a lot of these people are acting out and trying to stop this from going further is because they feel like a hobby that they've had for a long time, gaming, is being subverted by people who are only concerned with political correctness and like fad issues that are popular amongst these people who consider themselves social justice warriors. And I think some people are sick of hearing about the lesbian relationship in Gone Home or this or that or the other in these new games, and just want to hear about good games. They remember when game sites were just about great games that were out there and not necessarily about women getting into the field or like, and all those things are fine, but it's just they don't want the gaming media to be entirely driven by that.
Well, I think it's more kind of what you're saying. It's fine. It's not fine. There's games that exist like Gone Home where that's the story of it. Yeah. And then there's games where that doesn't exist. And it feels like anytime there's a game that doesn't include every gender, race, and sexual orientation as options, it's being biased.
Lamb-basted, right?
And I think it's just an expectation that's unrealistic for games. And I think most gamers are fine with there being games that cater to a different sexual orientation or games that are about a non-white race. And we're fine with anything, but we don't expect that every game has to appeal to every race, or race, gender, sexual orientation, whatever you want to talk about. It doesn't have to appeal to everything and everyone. I think anyone would welcome an array of different opportunities, and people are going to find the games they want to play. I think all gamers would really care about is the game good?
Exactly, and that's what they want to hear about, right? And to just branch off that, pointing out tropes in media, I think is totally fine and totally valid. But I think one of the problems that people run into is when tropes are identified, like this is the typical way that a female is portrayed in a video game. The reaction to it seems to be, let's make a character that's completely opposite to that. And in a lot of cases, you end up with a trope that is born of another trope, right? Like if you look at the Resident Evil films and their portrayal of like strong women, they're ridiculous. They're so characteristic that they're not even real. They don't even feel like comic book characters. They just feel out of place and ridiculous. And that's the problem for me, is that you identify a trope. Well, that's fine. Like, it doesn't mean just because a woman in distress is a trope doesn't mean that it can never be used in a story. It just means that it shouldn't be a crutch that we're always depending on.
Yeah, I think for me, like, it seems like part of it is also that games are attempting to grow up a bit. People are, game journalists are attempting to, critically look at this and look at the stories and, in the same way that they would look at film and TV and some of these other things. And the problem is that the content is kind of not, I don't know, it's arguably not quite ready to support some of that criticism yet. And I think we're pushing towards that, and I think we're going to get there. I just think it's growing pains right now, and that's kind of what a lot of this has grown out of.
But Sean, haven't we kind of seen the mirror image of games already evolve in film? I mean, no one complains. I don't think there's as much complaining about gender roles and biases in film anymore. I think we've reached a point in society where we accept it. We see the way women are portrayed in Transformers, and we scoff at it, essentially. Some people like it.
I think there's still lots of articles being written about this stuff. I mean, last year there was a lot of talk about, what's that? I can't remember what it's called now, but where it's like if you have a certain amount of women talking to other women in the movie about issues concerning themselves or something, it's called like the something factor.
Test. Yeah.
Or the Heimlich.
Hyman?
Something like that.
What I'm getting from this is, even as us, we know very little about it, and it's not that we don't think there are issues. It's more that we don't think there are issues. Do you know what I mean? I think we are all kind of accepting of that stuff, and we're cutting more to the core of things as to what's good and what's bad, regardless of the theme of it and what... if it's trying to push an agenda. I would rather things didn't push agendas and just casually had those themes injected into stories, kind of the way Last of Us did, or just stuff like that. These things can exist, and they don't have to be the focus of something. They are just part of life, the way it is in regular life.
Yeah, just
exactly.
let people tell a story.
That's my point. A character born as a contrary attack on a trope is still a trope.
Yeah, but I agree with you guys. I mean,
the Bechdel test, just to clarify.
Oh, nice.
And the journalist was Anita Sarkeesian, I think.
Yeah. That's right. That sounds like a fake name. But I agree with you, Sean. I think like video games are in the forefront right now, right? There's no other media that's really like pushing out into the public eye. Comic books went through all the same crap when they came out too, right? With violence and sexism and all that stuff too, because they were the new thing. Everybody was following it and getting into it. So I mean, we've seen that attack through violence in video games. Now we're going to see it in sexism. I mean, all games go through it. Final Fantasy just had an attack on them too. I don't know if you guys saw the new trailer for the new Final Fantasy game. The whole team is just guys. And so people are like, why is there not girls? And Square actually had a good answer. They're like, it's on purpose. We just wanted guys on the team. It fits what we're trying to tell.
And look at every Final Fantasy game ever. It's always had...
It's a mix, right?
Mixed
the characters people remember from Final Fantasy VII, for example, are
it's always
Aeris and Cloud, right? And so, I mean, if a company has a reputation of not being like that, maybe they're doing it because of the story.
Yeah, and that's fine, right? I'm sure there's going to be females in there, and I'm sure there'll be strong females too, but if the main team is male, that's okay. And
it was the same with Assassin's Creed. They took a lot of heat for not having female assassins as well, And it's like you're not like you're instantly in the hot seat. You're guilty until proven innocent, right?
In the court of public opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you want to tell a story, just tell a story. If it's all women, that's great. If it's not,
and let's put a bit of a spin on it too. I mean, no one is saying, why can't I be a male Tomb Raider? Right? Like Lara Croft, that's the character from Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
I mean, certain characters exist in certain franchises. And on top of that, the reason why that doesn't necessarily happen in games and why you don't get the freedom to be every possible thing is it's a lot of work to account for everything. And to add story branching, dialogue, voices, animations based on body types and stuff like that stuff gets out of control. And to me, the best games are one that focus on one character and put all their time and effort into making that one character great, be it anything, no matter what that character is, animal, fucking anything, as long as they focus on that and make that character compelling. That's what makes for at least a good story / character element of a game, and focusing on the gameplay elements.
Yeah.
I just think it's it's stuff that gets attention online.
It does.
It's all, that's what all this is about is generating
Clickbait.
clicks. It's fucking clickbait, and it makes me sick. And I mean, it's, again, today I'm looking at Facebook, and everything is some post, top 15 things to do this, 10 reasons why you need to be doing this, 5 hidden, and I click on them, and I hate myself. And
Well, that's why you're getting more of them on Facebook.
It gets me to the point where I just want to cut off from these, where social media has expanded the horizon of what you could hear and see. It makes you want to shut it off more than anything at this point.
Got to go off the grid, man.
Yeah.
I knew a guy. Yeah, that's that. I mean,
City, what's your take?
So knowing all this is going on, I'm now pretty nervous for the release of Citizens of Earth. Because I feel like we probably missed some ethnicity. I mean, we really tried to get a good variety of like sexes and races and all that kind of stuff, but I'm sure there is a race of some individual out there that is not represented in the game. And when you call the game Citizens of Earth, obviously we may be opening ourselves up to some criticism in this fashion.
It's always DLC.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, I think the more scary thing about this, I mean, I don't know what really went on, but the fact that people are like posting personal information, and I mean, I've had experience with like stalker people in the past.
What?
And having like, you know, just having the knowledge that that person is out there and you don't know what they're doing can really, really fuck you up. And then you have this girl, or girls, I guess, who have anonymous people basically saying like, I know where you live. It's essentially like a Scream movie for them all the time. Like, man, like I can't even imagine how rattled they must be constantly when they go home. Like it's just fucked because you have these people who, like, you don't know if they're legitimate threats. You don't know if what they're saying is, like, if you don't know where these people live. They could live anywhere. They could live beside you. They could move in beside you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, what's she gonna do? I guess she'd have to move. It's the only way she would keep her sanity. It's so messed that people do that and they go to that extreme. I mean, it's so stupid.
A lot of these people on like 4chan and stuff, they might not even be invested in the cause. It's just a challenge. It's just a game for them to like find personal information and, you know, fuck with these people. So you
need some sort of like counter group, like Anonymous, to go after these fucks and like post all their information. And
I think a lot of anonymous
social
activity happens on 4chan as well.
What's that?
I said I think a lot of anonymous activity happens on 4chan as well.
Well, I just mean like all these assholes who are posting these girls like private information, they should be exposed. I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, obviously
It's your classic,
you need an asshole to go after them, but
it's your classic Ed TV scenario. In Ed TV, poor Matthew McConaughey his family's life is being ruined. So he goes after the people, and they won't turn the show off. They won't cancel the show. So what does old Matthew McConaughey do? He puts an offer out to the public. You get me the juiciest gossip on anyone working on this TV show, and I'll play it live. And that's how he gets the show canceled. He gets some really good stuff on one of the main producers of the show. I mean,
it's the juice.
You got to think outside the box. You got to go to Ed TV sometime. And think of inspirations in your life of how we can right these wrongs.
It's like Ransom.
It is very similar to Ransom.
Yeah.
Both directed by Ron Howard. Did not realize that. Oh my God.
Nice.
That's rich.
So yeah, in conclusion, I don't know. I will admit, I mean, I haven't been, following GamerGate that closely. But, you know, the people who have expressed that they don't want to be associated with this and they're not comfortable calling themselves a gamer and all this stuff, I mean, I can kind of identify with that because, you know, you hear this kind of stuff and it's like, it's not worth it. It's not worth, you know, having this community of people if all they're going to do is gang up on somebody they disagree with. But
is that everybody or is that just a small
Yeah.
Like a small, group of people that are just super vocal about it, right? And are willing to go to extents that other people aren't.
But they can still ruin it for everyone else.
That's true, but I mean, like, when somebody down the street from me kills their spouse, I don't go, I don't want to be a human anymore. This is ridiculous. I'm out.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem is also that these people are almost wanting to, leave the community when in fact all these people need to stick together so that they can say, I'm a gamer and I don't do this shit and I don't tolerate this shit. Because if everybody just kind of like flies the coop, then the people that are left are...
I feel like even being on that side and saying that is unnecessary.
Like acknowledging.
I mean, yeah, you're playing into this war, so to speak, and it's just, you know what? Most people aren't like that. Like I said, we haven't really even heard of this thing because it's. I mean, maybe it says something about the type of person that is attracted to this drama. I mean, there's obviously people defending themselves that I feel bad for, but in general, if you're into this and following it, and I don't know. To me, it's not that big a deal. There's injustice all over the world, gaming and non-gaming, and I think for the most part, no one likes to see it. And there's always just bad examples of people everywhere, no matter what you do. And this is a gaming version of that, of it being in social media, and it happens no matter what it happens in sports, it happens in politics, it happens everywhere. And I think in general, it's a problem in society of how we, again, pick sides, and the court of public opinion, I'll say it again, it's out there and it's ruining everything. It's literally ruining everything, where there doesn't seem to be a non-biased source of information anywhere in the world anymore.
Except right here on Game Junk.
You fucking got it, buddy. We're biased by not caring.
All right. I guess we should probably move on to junk mail, unless anyone has any final words to add about GamerGate. No?
You guys are all sexist for cutting this off early.
All right. So let's get to some junk mail. GameJunkPodcast@gmail.com is the address where you can reach us. Probably not going to get to everything that we were sent, but we'll try to get to as much as we can. So... actually, let's start with one from our very own Gasman, host of the Ball Junk podcast, who sent in an interesting question. He says, as someone whose only real video game reference is the badass 4-player TMNT game that was in the arcade at the bottom of Clifton Hill in Niagara Falls, I'd like to know what it is that draws you to video games. I don't understand the appeal. I suppose it's the same as someone asking me why I like sports. But think of your all-time favorite video game. What gameplay feature sets it above all the rest, and what makes it your favorite? What makes the game pop into your head first when you get asked what your favorite one is? Keep on gaming on. The Gas Man. Well, I think it's interesting for him to ask that question, because it really is kind of similar to sports in a lot of ways. I mean, maybe not... there is becoming... it is becoming a spectator sport now as well, but I would say it's more similar to playing baseball or hockey with your buddies. Playing video games with your buddies is the exact same appeal, I think.
Yeah, I agree. For me, there's the sort of like sports team aspect, but then there's another one which I'll talk about in a minute, but the teamwork, like if you're working with a bunch of buddies, just sharing the experience on the couch, it'd be the same as if you were watching a game and cheering on your team, except at the same time, you guys are both on the same team, or even just playing a sport. I mean, it's the same. You're, playing hockey, you're playing video game hockey, you're on the same team, you make a sweep pass in the game, it's exciting. You get to experience the thrill of, it's just a digital enemy or opponent, but at the same time, you're still outsmarting them. You're using your strategy to outwit them. And that's really appealing. Or even just the mastery of systems. It'd be like becoming really good at shooting a 3-point shot. You put in the work to get really good at a 3-point shot in basketball. And there's guys that play like Counter-Strike for hours and hours and hours and hours. And then, they can jump and shoot and duck and hit headshots doing crazy shit. And that for them is as exhilarating as like nailing that 10th 3 in a row or whatever, and having that mastery of the skill, although it's through like the manipulation of a controller and the video game code, you still get that sort of satisfaction from mastery. I know I get it when, you know, you pull off an awesome move in NHL and you snipe the top corner, right? You were pressing the buttons in like just the right way to beat the D and to score in that fashion. It's the same way as if you were actually physically doing it. The same, I don't know, feeling you get. And then for me, the other thing is is sort of more of like the immersion aspect of it, where you have sort of like a book and you can read it and you get immersed in a book. But in other stories, like Uncharted is one of my favorite games, and you really can get immersed, or even Last of Us, even better, actually, example. You get immersed in this story, except instead of just reading it and visualizing it, Alex kind of touched on this earlier, you can also visually see it, move around in the environment, go where you want to go within this story that's been kind of created for you, and it's just in a digital visual medium instead of, you know, on paper, basically. Those are the two things that really drive it for me.
I would say in addition to like the mastery of the skill, like learning the systems and being able to master them is definitely a huge part of like getting good at games and the attraction to games. But like just the random aspect of it as well, that like just like in real life, you can get so good at a certain skill, but not knowing exactly what's going to happen in a given situation, and like how the game's going to throw the enemies at you, or what kind of, I don't know, stats they're going to have, or whether or not your attempt at a technique or like mastering, you know, using a system is going to be successful. Like just throws that level of excitement in there too, where it's like, you know, part of it is just completely random. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen, and you can give it your best shot, but at the end of the day, you really don't know what the outcome of the competition is going to be, and that's brings with it a certain level of excitement and a certain level of you know, replayability that's, like you said, similar to sports, where you don't know the outcome, and a great sports team can lose to a terrible sports team on a bad day.
Like Tampa Bay. For me, it was twofold as well. So the multiplayer aspect of it, I agree with you guys, right? I mean, I was terrible at sports, and I still am, but I can become awesome at a game. And decimating my enemies feels great. Just knowing that you were the best at that round, or you helped out your team or something like that, is an awesome feeling. But for me, it was single player games. I mean, the first game that caught me, you know, it was just lots of Super Nintendo games, but really the thing that caught me was Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time for 64. And it was the first time that I played something where I got to experience this world that somebody established and become fully immersed in it. But not just read it in a book. Like I always loved reading and watching movies. I always felt like reading was, you're reading something that had happened already. It's like a history kind of book. Whereas in a game, you're participating at the time it's happening. And I always felt like you're in the moment a lot more than a lot of other mediums. And that was the first time I really understood that. Like you can go through a story, and even though it's been scripted a long time ago and everybody else is playing through it the same way, just because you're pressing A at the time they want you to press it, or you kill a boss to progress to the next area, that participation in a game, that's what makes you feel amazing. And you actually feel like you're part of that environment. And you kind of forget about the rest of your surroundings, and for that little time, you're in that world. And when I realized somebody made that for me, like not specifically, but like somebody else crafted, or a team crafted this entire experience with the music and all that, that was an amazing moment for me, knowing that you can make something like that for somebody else to just participate in. So that was it for me.
Sorry, if I can just interject quickly. Going into like single player games, just to like build on what you were saying too, one of the things that really was pivotal for me in loving games was when I got to a point where I realized that when I play a game, I don't have to play it as myself, and I can take on whatever personality or whatever trait I consider to be part of that character's personality. When I played through Mass Effect, for example, like oftentimes I'll just create a completely different character in the same way somebody would do in The Sims to experience someone else's life, and just be like, okay, you know what? My character in Mass Effect, yeah, really experience a game as a woman. No, but like I remember creating my character for that and just sitting down and thinking about it and being like, you know what? This guy is a risk taker Whereas generally, you know, I can be pretty conservative at times. He doesn't take shit from anybody. So as soon as anybody gives me any sort of like intimidation, makes any sort of attempt at intimidation, I'm just going to not back down from that. And the other thing that I decided was anytime I screw up anything in Mass Effect, I'm not going to reload my game. And that to me made it a very unique experience to me that nobody else would experience. One of my favorite characters in that game ended up dying because of me screwing up. And because of that, it just made it so much more of a personal experience. And I didn't reload it. I just played. And those games carry on from game to game. Your decisions, you know, have a long-lasting impact. And it was hard for me to deal with those decisions, but that's what made the game valuable and interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get a really specific here, Sean.
Okay.
When I think about when I was a kid, what attracted me to games, as a kid, it's kind of the same way our love of movies grew. When we were kids, we liked cartoons, right? We liked some visual medium, right? Mm-hmm. I think the idea of video games, it felt like controlling a cartoon, especially when you look at stuff like Mario World, and once the graphics got a bit better, it's, in a sense, being in control of a cartoon. And that's what I love about it, and that's still essentially my favorite part is the visual style of games and appreciating the artwork and creativity and different worlds that are created from movies and any other medium now. It's its own thing, and that's why I tend to harp on games that are generic in their character portrayals and just the same kind of bland worlds. And I love Mass Effect, like the way aliens are created in that's what I look at. I just have my mind blown as I'm playing, right? All these games can create, I mean, it's not hard to copy another game's controls for the most part. And I think we're getting closer to a point where every genre has almost an accepted standard of control. And what you're looking at is, I know it's cliche to say the story, it's all about the story. I don't necessarily think it's about story exclusively. I think it's about design elements, creativity, and artwork. I mean, I can look at the art of a game like Destiny, and yeah, it's a grind, but it looks amazing while I'm doing it. And I'm, as Alex said, taking in the appreciation of what level of effort went into it to make it, and just how good it looks sometimes. And I don't know, there's a colorfulness and a vibrancy to games that I don't think exist in other mediums right now. And I think that's what keeps me coming back to games, is new visual experiences. I mean, there's lots of ways of taking in a story: reading, movies, radio, whatever you want to talk about, right? Just talking across a campfire. But I've never been that drawn to books either. And I think I've loved movies and video games the most because I really have an appreciation for visual style and art and stuff that maybe I can't do myself, and that's what I get out of those games. And I'm participating actively while taking it in. It's just a perfect mix of things going on. And I agree, I like multiplayer stuff too, but when I think of how much of my gaming life is dedicated to multiplayer stuff, it's very little. So it's got to be something else that is pulling me in and wanting to try different games and seeing what they offer.
Yeah, actually that interactive cartoon thing, it's interesting you mentioned that because I said I was playing Super Mario 3D World with Kieran a bit, and he's not really, obviously can't really control it. He's not very good at it. He's not even that interested in it, but he is interested in like being able to tell me, hey, go in that door, go down that pipe, do that thing. And I really feel like it is kind of an interactive cartoon for him. And
for sure.
It's been kind of fun, sharing that experience with him. And when I think to like when I was a kid and what got me into games and just, I don't even really know. I think it's just kind of all the stuff you guys are talking about, the feeling of there being a world there. Like I always come back to Maniac Mansion being one of my favorite games, and that was one of the first games where I really felt like I can explore this whole mansion and do whatever the hell I want. And there's a story here and there's characters here, but I can do what I want in that world. And I guess the other thing nobody's really mentioned is just I like puzzles. I like, it's one thing to challenge yourself physically, being able to accomplish certain things in a game, whether, just through your dexterity and agility and whatever else, your reflexes. But I like being able to challenge myself mentally as well, and that's an element of a lot of games too. So I think we covered all the bases.
I think so.
Okay. Got a question from Jacob who says, "Hey, you sexy people. My question is, if you could create a Frankenstein console, for example, taking the controller from one, the games from another, and the physical game media from yet another, how would you build your ultimate gaming monster? Feel free to break it down into more parts." What do you guys got? Anything?
I mean, the look of a console, I think I'm going GameCube. Legitimately. GameCube is my favorite. I mean, it's kind of, the medium is kind of tied to the GameCube, the small disc, which I like. I like their proprietary disc. Controller, I might go current Xbox One controller. Or
Xbox has solid controllers.
They have really good controllers. No complaints here. If I had to pick a favorite game medium, I mean, maybe I do prefer carts. I'm trying to think of which cart I like the look of the best.
64.
Game Gear.
I'm gonna
NES Gold Zelda cartridge.
Little DS ones.
I think I'm gonna go Super Nintendo cart.
Yeah, just
Yeah. I think it's got the most flair. If I could insert a Super Nintendo cart into a GameCube with a 360 controller or Xbox One controller, I think that's a pretty good setup.
You know what? I was with you up until the carts, and I'm on with you.
You prefer the only reason why I'm saying
TurboGrafx 16 is
that's
the
good.
greatest cart
That's a good call
of all time.
You don't even see it.
And works in the handheld as well as a TV-based system.
You've converted me. I like the idea of a thin cart.
Well, you can't have it. You already made your decision.
No. But the reason why I love it, the reason why I said carts to begin with is obviously I'm eliminating load times, right? So but that's good because I don't want to necessarily the cartridge to interfere with the shape. So if I just slide a little TurboGrafx cart in there, that's pretty good too. Cool.
I want my games on vinyl.
That's not a bad idea.
They play better. They're a little bit warmer.
Yeah, Sean wants Commodore 64, everything.
Floppies? The old floppy disk?
No.
I want a zip disk.
I was going to say, well, definitely Commodore 64 in the sense of the variety of games that are available and just like whether it's mainstream, big blockbuster games and also just weird like homebrew games that you got from your buddy that you don't have any clue where they came from. Like that was awesome just having all that stuff available. But in terms of the actual, the controller, I would go Xbox 360. The look of the console itself, I'm gonna throw out something that I didn't own when it was actually an active console, but just to be a little different, I'm gonna say Dreamcast, like that little box. And what else is there? I don't know. I think that
medium.
Covers it. The medium, just plain CD. DVD.
Sean, come on. All digital, baby.
That's where I'm going.
That's you.
Well, I guess I should. The one other stipulation I would add to my dream Frankenstein console is after all of this, it's also portable. So there you go.
I'm going
Nice.
controller Vita. You got your touchpad front, your touchpad back. You can do anything you want with that baby.
Just say the
digital.
Vita. It's
Yeah, just Vita.
So
Vita straight up.
UMD would be your favorite
You need more
media,
power than that. More power than that.
That's PSP.
And then I don't know, library. I guess would
Work
be-
with me, baby.
I should have picked. I should have picked UMD.
You could get all your movies for cheap.
Oh my god, that's a good one.
So good.
Yeah, I'd pick a 360 controller. Definitely Nintendo games. Sony for their like, just their interface a lot of times, like the PS3 and the PS4, just really
Cross
nice.
media bars.
Yeah, like I really don't like a lot what Microsoft did, especially with their new dashboard. Nintendo's boards have always been a fucking mayhem. And then format, I would pick the old like the GameCube CDs, but in those plastic covers.
Mini disc.
Yeah, like mini discs. Yeah, those were awesome.
Or
Old
like the
movies were
optical
so-
disc drive for Nintendo 64.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Probably the perfect unrealized.
No,
medium.
it would just be USB sticks. All my freaking games would just come on USB sticks.
It's pretty good. Do I have to do this?
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
have to.
All right, I'll do it. All right, I'm gonna Frank this.
What about your what about your PC theory? I thought you were gonna drop that on us.
Oh, we can talk. It's kind of boring. You want to talk about that?
Whatever.
Let me give you my console. Okay, here it is. All right, my controller, original NES controller, square for thumb blisters.
Can I tell you? Okay, you're trying to do a Frank trolling version of a system.
It's the greatest control ever made. It's the best.
I'll counteract you with my Frank troll version. Okay, so I'll say
so we'll go step by step.
Controller, Sega Saturn analog controller.
The fucking boomerang.
I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed by step one. All right.
What about the original Xbox controller before they fixed it?
Oh, the Big Daddy,
Oh yeah.
Fat Boy.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with my NES controller.
Okay,
The Thumb Blister Professional Edition. All right. What else was there? Games?
the console itself.
The console itself? That's a hard one. I'm going to skip that for now.
No.
Okay.
He's giving it to you.
Screen? Original Game Boy screen.
No, Virtual Boy.
Nice.
That would have been better. Fuck, I didn't think of that.
He was trying to tell you, Virtual Boy.
It's too late, all right? It's too late. I'm sticking with my green monochrome screen. Low res. I'm down with that. Okay. Medium. Tape drive.
Tape drive.
I love the sound of it.
Punch cards.
It's so cathartic to me.
It is pretty cool, actually.
It's the best.
Especially
All right,
if
Frank,
can
you got
just
some
pop it
catching
in a
up to do.
cassette player and you get the weird random noise.
That's true. That's true.
I'm talking not tape, not cassette tape,
Oh, not cassette.
backup tape.
Okay, look of the console. This is going to be really specific. Model 1 Genesis with a Model 2 Sega CD and a 32X on top.
I was going to mention the 32X. I forgot about it. And then just when I remembered, fine.
Yeah, I
Fine,
think
you
that's
have the
perfect.
32X.
That's the look I'm looking for. And mediums, all mediums, which is what that console accepts.
Yeah.
Carts, discs, it takes it all.
It's a slut.
It's it's the ultimate clusterfuck. It is Franken-Console.
Okay, the controller.
Already.
The controller has to be the old NES controller, but with the giant fucking hole in the back to put the rumble pack in from the Nintendo 64 to just weigh it down.
Controller should be a theremin.
Oh, just
What? I'm lost.
Right.
Yeah, there's your Franken consoles. Jacob.
All right. Next
Anyways,
up,
what we were talking about earlier. Sorry.
It'll be the next question, kind of.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah. So Jonathan has 3 quick questions. The main one is: has Frank built a gaming PC yet? Also, will Jay
No.
ever be back on the show and do a Star Trek Games Premium featuring Reed?
Probably
Jay
not.
might be back, and Star Trek Games Premium is definitely out of the question.
But I have not built my gaming PC yet.
So
There's
what's
just too
stopping
much
you?
stuff to play.
There's not enough exclusives. That's the problem.
No, I would honestly.
There's a lot of
It's
exclusives.
most at this point. It's always been financially driven. Because to do it right, I'd want to spend like $2,000 at least, and I just don't have. I've never had that kind of money. For
You're saying this to me, and there is a wall of Blu-rays behind you.
I know, but those are just those purchases kind of squeak in, and it's they feel like deals at the time. To just drop $2,000 out of nowhere, it hurts me. It hurts my head.
you could have just got a Corolla instead of a Camry and then bought a PC.
That's true. Oh, well, I guess
Many PCs.
we're poking holes in whether I really want a PC.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't. But Chris loves them. He lives by these things.
I'm a PC guy. I've always been a PC. Like, when I heard the question about the Franken-Console, to me, I was just like, okay, well, a PC, I can pick whatever parts I want anyways. And and most games are available, even if they're just shitty ports. Most games are available on PC sooner or later. So, yeah, I've always been a PC guy, and I always just buy the parts that I like. It's not that far out there.
You don't get any of the best games, though.
Nintendo games?
No, and I mean Sony exclusive, Microsoft exclusives.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends what games you really like. For me, like, I play a lot of multiplayer games, and I just like the physics interaction, the interaction with other people over the internet and stuff like that. And I've never had a console multiplayer game that I liked more than a PC multiplayer game.
Fair enough.
The console games I tend to play are like single player adventure games. Like, they're okay.
The multiplayer.
I play a lot of like
single adventure games.
No, he says when he does play
multiplayer
consoles.
games.
I do.
He does.
Yeah, when I do play console games, like I enjoy the single player.
Oh, I see.
Adventure games. They're all right. The couch couch multiplayer games are cool, but I just constantly end up going back to PC, and those are the games that I enjoy the most.
That's just weird. I don't know.
That's weird.
Yeah.
We always get shit for not being PC gamers.
I don't know. My excuse
We're console whores.
my excuse for going console has always been, and this is no longer valid, but it has always been, I like to kick back on my couch to play video games, not sit at a desk with a keyboard and a mouse.
For me, I find I always have frame rate issues on PC. No matter how good my PC is, no matter what game I'm playing, I always have to like knock down the settings way too low. And I know on a console I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I know it's all optimized for me, for my
You
perfect
get what
experience.
they give you, and you love it.
Unless you play the first Mass Effect, that thing was horrendous
Yeah.
So fun.
on Xbox 360. It was awesome, but frame rate wise,
I don't know if Alex realizes he's attacking Huck's favorite game of all time.
Okay.
Original Xbox 360
It's
Mass
the
Effect.
best.
Huck, I think if he had to pick one game to take to a desert island, that would be it.
Oh, dude, don't get me wrong. This is one of my favorite 360 games, but it had the worst tech ever. Like the elevator loading times,
You just have
loading
to
while in the
accept
middle
some
of a
texture
battle.
pop, okay?
Trying to drive that stupid APC. Oh,
Yeah.
garbage.
Yeah,
Garbage.
so
day.
fun.
Technically, it was a pile of garbage, but it was such a good game, you overlooked it.
It's the best.
I love that game. I beat that game 4 times.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Couple more
Nobody here
questions.
plays PC games but me.
Okay, wrap them up. Let's go.
All right. Stephen Carpenter has a long email. Let me get to the important points here. He
Cut it.
says, last show we were talking about the value of games and getting your money's worth. A lot of games adding competitive multiplayer. What about MMOs such as Star Wars: The Old Republic for PC? It's completely free to play. You can spend several hundred hours playing it without having to pay anything. I guess he's essentially wondering, are there a lot of other MMOs like this, and how can they afford to do this, essentially? Keep up the amazing podcast, Stephen Carpenter.
No, I don't think Star Wars Republic's completely free to play. I think there's level caps and other content that you have to use microtransactions or buy monthly subscriptions to get to. It's the same thing as most free to play to start MMOs.
Well, even games that are fully free to play, like Warframe, where you could play technically forever, most people will spend zero money on that game, right? I think the conversion rate for any free to play game is like 2%. So 2% of your players are going to pay something for your game.
Yeah.
And then like a fraction of those people are going to spend way too much on that game and make up for all of that. So you're looking at just bringing in a huge audience and then hoping that 2% is still
Exactly.
big, right?
And when I think about Dax, who, like, in World of Warcraft, not to mention monthly things, he would change servers. He would change names all the time. Like, there's a whole nother level of spending money in these games and that's the percentage they're hoping to get.
Yeah. Like it's just, like you put out a free to play game. Like we even put out one of our games on iOS for free, and we got like hundreds of more sales or downloads than we did when it was like even $1, right? And you just get those people coming in, and you just hope that at least some of them will buy it or buy something every few months. I mean, iOS games like run off that crap, like the Simpsons.
Tapped out.
Like I played it for a bit, and that game makes so much money. Or like Clash of Clans or Candy Crush, they're all free to play. But the 2% of the people will spend $30 or $40 on it. It's true. That's exactly what it's about. Yeah. It's bananas.
Someone needs to make like an ironic version of that game about catching whales where somehow the people who spend the most are physically catching huge whales in the game and spending more money, and it's like this huge meta commentary on the person playing, and they don't even realize it.
In The Simpsons, they just make fun of you.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, they know it's a game. Homer treats it like a game, and he makes fun of you for buying donuts and like spending your time.
Now, have you actually spent money on Simpsons stuff?
I haven't. No.
Oh, okay.
I stopped playing.
The only one of those games I ever gave any money to was Monopoly Millionaires, which I loved and played the fuck out of because I love Monopoly. I just love the look of Monopoly, everything about it. I love pure, not licensed versions. Pure Monopoly. There's something blissful about it to me. And that was like a game version on Facebook of pure Monopoly, where it was just playing with the aesthetics of the board. Oh, God, it was amazing. But I gave the money, just not a ton. I would buy stuff here and there just because there's games on Facebook I play and I don't give money to because I feel like they're generally just ripping other stuff off and reskinning it. That game, I thought, tried to do something different. I liked it. It wasn't a copy of something else, and I thought, you know what, I played this game for a while, I'll give them $10, and it was more about supporting the game than needing to buy something in it.
That reason is probably not the most common, though, I bet. I mean, I would do the same.
No.
But I bet most of it is because people are addicted. There's like that percentage of people who get addicted to it, and they like physically need to progress faster than the countdown timer allows. So they will pay.
My mom is now addicted to iPad, like the games where you find things.
Those are huge. Yeah.
In a painting?
My mom is addicted. She plays it all night, but she won't spend any money on it, to the point where I got her a card, iTunes thing. Like, here, just, you don't even have to spend your own money. If you like the game, just spend some money. It's on me. And she still won't spend it. But I feel like there is another mom out there who's at the same level of addiction who will spend
like $5,000. Yeah.
Is it because if they don't put any money into it, they can plausibly deny that they have a problem?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Like, is that the line?
I think so. But she's addicted. Sorry, Sean, you were saying maybe a similar experience?
You might want to let her know there's an NCIS hidden object game on the way. So to keep an eye out for that
are you in the know on this topic?
Yeah, I'm not working on it, but it is in development at GameLoft.
That is the perfect meshing of target audiences. Of like that Venn diagram of people who watch NCIS and those who play fighting games is almost 100% overlap.
Fucking eclipse.
That's amazing. That's the smartest targeted game marketing I've ever heard of in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh yeah. So I don't know if we answered all of Stephen Carpenter's questions. I think he was also
generated a good discussion, though.
Mm-hmm. I think he was just wondering if MMOs are the best value for the money. But
no,
it takes your time. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, you can pour a lot of time into those games, but I think that's the other reason why a lot of them go free to play is because you can only really play one MMO at a time. So they want to steal you away from whatever other MMO you're playing. And
I think it depends what your tolerance is for people asking you for money too.
Yeah.
You know, if that doesn't annoy you and you can just kind of like grow a thick skin about people being like, hey, just give me $5, I'll make your life so much easier. Then it's great for you, right? But yeah.
I would say maybe in that case, in terms of value, Guild Wars 2 is a one-time fee and not monthly, and people love that game as an MMO. Cool. So, I mean, it seems like there's a ton of value in that game. And I'm hoping Destiny is a good value game, too. I think it has potential.
All right, we got one from Essie, who says, I just started getting into gaming more thanks to your show. picked up Sims 4. I was wondering if you guys have played it. I know everybody hates it because it doesn't have swimming pools or something, but I found the create a sim technology to be a lot better than Sims 3. My second question is, how do you feel about games without specific endpoints? To my knowledge, there's no way to beat The Sims. Does it make it harder for you to become invested? P.S. I tried out Pokemon, Nintendogs, and Disney Magical World, and I love them a lot, especially Magical World. Does Frank like this game? I've heard him talk about Disney Infinity. Is it similar? Thanks for the wonderful show. It's informative, and if you were ever wondering, it certainly plays well enough to the non-hardcore gamer.
It's good to know.
Disney Magical World, what's that?
I've never even heard of that game.
Is that Magic Kingdom where you walk around and connect?
Oh, maybe.
Or is that the one that's like the... It was almost like a Ratchet and Clank with Disney characters. No, I think it's that one with Stitch on the cover.
You were the one who recommended it.
Yeah, I never played that. I don't think I did.
Or is it the one where Mickey paints shit?
No, that's Epic Mickey.
Oh, it's Epic Mickey, yeah.
I think it's that one. I've never played it. I don't know. I almost thought about buying Disney Infinity 2.0 today, and I convinced myself to do otherwise. Thank God. But in terms of games that don't have an endpoint, it is kind of a problem for me. I like endpoints in games, and the open-ended play forever have never hooked me. Maybe they will one day, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I agree with Frank. I'm a big single player. Let me experience a story with an ending, and just tell me what you got. Let's move on.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same. I guess it's just a question of like time efficiency, really, for me. Like, I want to feel like I'm progressing to something, and then when I'm done, I can move on to the next game. But with regards to the last question, if you're looking for better value for your money, I guess those kinds of games are great if you have a lot of time.
You kind of almost have to classify, like in the same way that Gone Home, I wouldn't really classify as a game in the strictest of sense. You almost have to classify those as not games as well. They're almost like toys more than anything else, right? It's something you can boot up, you can play with, but you really have to set your own goals as to what you want to accomplish and decide whether or not you've accomplished them and when, right? I played SimCity a bit. It never really hooked me. Because I wasn't always great at setting my own goals, I wanted somebody to tell me what my big goals were, and then, if I want to develop, like, go off on little side missions or do something tertiary, then that's, my own prerogative. But
not that I'm opposed to open-ended games or a game you could play forever. I've talked about this on the show before, akin to settling down or getting married. I wish there was a game I could find, and I said, this is the only game I want to play for the rest of my life. And I invested all my time in that game. I would give anything to find that game. I just don't think it'll ever happen.
Well, that's Minecraft,
and I think
right
that,
now,
like,
for a lot of kids.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's a good call.
I think that in a larger sense with games that don't have endings, really the ultimate end game is when you understand all the systems that are put into play. And when you can master them and manipulate them however you want, then what's the point of playing that game anymore?
Yeah,
there was that guy who built that SimCity that just like operated itself essentially and just generated huge amounts of money. Didn't have to do anything, right? Like he's mastered that game.
You beat SimCity.
Yeah, you beat SimCity.
Yeah, you're the Neo of the Sims.
Yeah.
You press two buttons and you see the butterfly wings flap, and you know where the Sims end up. Like, you could just play it out in your mind, essentially.
Made like a perpetual motion machine in The Sims.
Same as people have Rubik's Cubes memorized, right? Like,
Yeah.
you got it.
Yeah, you're done.
Now, is it how fast can you get married and have 3 kids in The Sims?
Yeah.
Sure. Set new goals for yourself, as you said, Chris.
For me, I accomplished all the goals I ever needed to accomplish in The Sims in about 10 minutes. I made a house with a bedroom and 2 really nice bathrooms with no doors. And I just watched the people go crazy and kill each other. And that was about all I really had interest in.
That's funny. I think the closest thing I got to was playing Minecraft for a while. And it was fun setting your own goals. You pick stupid goals. You're like, I'm going to walk to the end of the map today. And you don't do it because it's huge. Or you'd find like a mountain you like. And you're like, I'm going to dig a hole through this mountain. And then build a staircase. And so I started doing that. And halfway through my staircase, I'm like, this is what I do for a living, except this takes way longer because I have to like hit cubes. And so I just stopped playing.
Got too real for you. Shit got real.
Too real, man. Yeah. Like, I could be making money doing this shit.
I think for me, the games that never end are not more about the game. I think they're more. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about for The Sims. I can't remember if there's an online component to The Sims, but for me, those games that never end are mostly about giving the player sort of like a sandbox to play in, and then inviting all your friends over to play in that sandbox. I'm thinking of games like DayZ and Rust and Dota and I don't know, any game where it's a multiplayer just sandbox where you play around with your friends and create stories amongst the gameplay that you interact with them. Even like Counter-Strike, right? Each little encounter with everyone is sort of like a storyline of how that round went. And I think The Sims are a little different, but
those games have very distinct like goals and objectives and rules and stuff like that too. Though I don't know if I'd really call Counter-Strike a sandbox.
But there's no end game, right? You can't beat Counter-Strike.
But you can win a round, right?
Sure, but you can't. I mean, I guess if you consider it that one part in the game, but you don't stop playing the game then at that point. You go play another round.
But is that the same as beating Mass Effect and then playing Mass Effect again with a different character?
Yeah, I mean, would you say then that every multiplayer game is like a sandbox?
Pardon me, what was
I
that?
don't think he's saying it's a sandbox more. I think he's saying every multiplayer game is potentially, if you like it, one of those games you could play forever.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, there's no end game, potentially. It will never... I mean, Mass Effect, yes, you can play any game over and over again, but like the same opening 10 minutes of Mass Effect is always the same, whereas the same opening 10 minutes of a Counter-Strike match is very rarely going to be the same.
Yeah. Counter-Strike match doesn't even last 10 minutes.
Sure, well, whatever. You know what I mean, though? Like, I'm sure Dota is the same way. I'm sure DayZ is the same way. I'm sure all these like open world games that are now coming out are very similar in that each time you play is different. You never have the exact same experience. Like, you could play Mass Effect the exact same way every time. If you just pick the first option every single time, that game will always be the same. Whereas...
Yeah, I think that the difference is obviously other people making random decisions that you can't predict, right?
Yeah.
In stuff like Counter-Strike and Dota.
Yeah, to me, that's like the biggest asset of those games.
Yeah.
That's like the unpredictability and in both how the systems react and also how other people are going to react just makes me like... You never know, right? So it's that the risk is there. Whereas in games, I feel like sometimes, like single player games, sometimes I feel like I can predict what the systems are going to do, and it's just loses.
You do have Frank's ability.
I do.
Yeah, you do. You can predict what's going to happen in the game.
That's sweet.
I guess on The Sims 4, there could be an end game. I don't know, but I imagine the characters age. I imagine they could die. And I imagine if you never have kids in the game,
I think
the game would just end, right? When your character dies of old age. So in theory, there could be an end game to the Sims.
Yeah, I guess with those games, in some cases, there's ways you can lose, but not necessarily a way to win.
Yeah, that's usually how those games go, right? There's a loss condition, but no victory conditions.
Yeah.
SimCity's the same way, right? You could screw up your town and have it burned down to the ground, and to the point where you're like, okay, I should just start over. But you can't. Yeah, you can't win except for that one guy.
I think there's good things about those games. I don't think they're bad, but I just think they're just different type of games.
For sure.
Just like how Gone Home's different than any other game that's really out there.
I guess I have played a lot of SimCity. Never thought about that. That is a type of game like that.
Yeah.
I always forget. It's like a never-ending game.
All right. One last question. I don't know if this maybe is geared more towards myself and Frank, but it has to do with the Criterion collection. Are you guys aware of what the Criterion collection is for DVD and Blu-ray? So it's basically a boutique line of movie releases where they tend to focus on, foreign films, sort of lesser-known old films that they want to restore and, make sure that they're still available. And they, put together really nice packaging and, booklets and cool artwork and all this stuff, so they cost a little more than your average DVD. So the question is, hey guys, hypothetical, / something I'm sure Frank has dreamed of many a night. What would you do if you were in charge of the Criterion collection for games? What would be the criteria for a Criterion collection game? What would be the first 5 games you'd release? What would the packaging look like? Would you use a numbering system?
Oh, fuck.
Would they be interspersed among your normal Blu-rays and DVDs? Anything you would veto? As always, love the shows, Matt. So I'm kind of wanting to focus on the first 2 questions, is what would the criteria be and what would be some games that you think would belong in the Criterion collection for games?
You don't want to come up with your numbering system?
Well, the thing, he's asking because they number each of their DVDs.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's like release number 1, release number 2.
I guess the intention of the Criterion collection is to preserve the best and things that stand the test of time. Maybe not so much with Criterion. I think it's more important or landmark stuff. I would take the opposite approach. I'd be a little more restrictive and have it be important stuff, but the stuff that still holds up and is playable. There's a playability element to games that has to be considered.
Yeah, sometimes you can't go back home again.
I mean, and I think if we're thinking of what our first 5 entries would be,
a lot of games.
You got to start with like Pong or something like that. You know?
Well, I was thinking that too, but I mean, just because it's the first entry doesn't mean it comes first chronologically. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you want to start with one that's going to sell well, so you can keep making more.
Wayne Gretzky's
you want
hockey.
That's a good answer. I think if we're gonna start with, I would start with Super Mario World.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. That game is forever awesome.
That's,
Good one.
Yeah. That's way too mainstream.
And
that's
if you
like the Rock Criterion release, you know, that's like
no, it's not. But
yeah, it is. Like I'm thinking, something
this
like
is the game version of
Keith
Criterion,
Courage Alpha
dummy.
Zones or something like that would be a more.
No, these are good games, Sean. Like that's. We're making our own version of Criterion. We're not going to have Criterionitis. These are going to be great games that are fantastic. So Super Mario World would be my first. You can do your own. You can put Keith Courage, you fuck.
It would have to be
Number
some
2,
Japanese import game that I've never played before.
Like President
You're not going to
Cat.
put Scott Pilgrim
I don't
versus the
know.
World? Or Super Metroid?
No,
Yeah,
I don't.
See, I don't want to do 2 Super Nintendos. I'm going to put this one. This, if you're thinking of something maybe not too popular, but I think important, I'm going to put Virtua Fighter 2.
Why 2?
As I think it's a better game. A much better game.
Then 1.
Yes. I'm putting Virtua Fighter 2. Or Virtua Fighter 1 would also be acceptable. I think that's an interesting niche kind of title that people might not remember and actually paved the way for...
I remember it really well, and I'll tell you why if you'll give me a couple
Did you play it at
minutes.
Max Milk? Like,
No, I actually played the game. It was about 8 months before it came out. My teacher in public school, his brother was an executive at Sega and brought us to this Sega, like one of these like Sega sub headquarters, where we got to play all the new like Virtua Racer, Virtua Fighter. I spent all my time playing Virtua Fighter, so I think that's like where I ended, but had all the arcade machines sitting there waiting for people to play them of games that hadn't come out yet. And Virtua Fighter blew my mind.
that's pretty cool.
This sounds like a dream you had. This doesn't sound real.
So was this the reason you got into game development in the first place?
Not at all. I was interested before that, but it was the first time that I'd seen proper 3D stuff in a game. And like both of those 2 games.
All right, you know what? Let's say entry number 1, Virtua Fighter. Let's
Entry
try to
number
agree
2.
on a 5.
I've got one that's a legit one. I know Sean will be on board 100%. Impossible Mission.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm down for that.
Don't know it. I'll
I'm
agree
down
with
for
it
that.
just for the sake of throwing these guys a fucking bone. You know.
I got a good one. What about Mutant League Hockey? That one's out of print, hard to find. Let's get it restored, remastered, back in the Criterion collection.
I've never played
Absolutely not.
You know what? I got one for you. I don't know if any of you guys have played this. Base Wars
Oh yeah, I
love
remember that
Base
game.
Wars.
on the NES. Oh,
Yep.
man, amazing.
Does not qualify for Criterion.
that game. Frank. Criterion Nazi.
For me, one of my first games, RC Pro-Am.
I would include RC Pro-Am.
Oh,
The game-
sure you would.
I think.
Blew my mind.
What's that supposed to mean, Sean? I think that fits the criteria
Too
here.
popular. Too
It's
popular.
the starting of Rare.
Micro
Too
Machines
popular.
Micro Machines would be the better inclusion.
Micro Machines.
You know what I would include?
You understand, a lot of Criterion movies were popular in their own right at the time.
Yeah, I know, but
They're not unpopular.
I'm trying to stick with the stereotype of what the Criterion Collection is. So, you know.
Okay.
I think I would
like,
include a game like XCOM Enemy Unknown, which is pretty new, but I think could stand the test of time, although it hasn't been that long.
What about the original?
Well, would you
XCOM?
with the
Never played
original?
it.
Yeah, you should do the original then. Well,
I never played it.
Yeah, we'll include the original for sure.
We'll throw the original in.
Well, I thought we were talking about playability.
The original
I
Fallout.
like the new one. We're not talking about.
Well, then if
necessarily
we're
old.
trying to be obscure, I'm saying the Forgotten Classic Bug for Sega Saturn. I mean, that is amazing. I think you could put. You know what? Let's change it then. Let's just have all Sega Saturn games. I think that is the Criterion collection of video games.
Isn't there?
You know
only
what though?
13
Okay,
games?
shit. The thing we do need to include for prosperity is what do you call them? Sega CD games. The movie. Why can't I think of what they're called?
Oh, full motion video.
Why? FMV games. We
Night
need
Trap.
at least. Now, what FMV game should we pick for the collection for prosperity?
Night Trap.
That's too popular, Sean.
No, that is a forgotten classic that needs to be brought back. Well, I guess it
Gabriel
is being
Knight.
brought back.
All right,
3?
Night Trap.
Which one was full motion?
What about Jazz Jackrabbit? Something like that. You know,
Oh, Halloween
Early
Harry,
Cliffy B
Duke
game.
Nukem. Oh,
Yeah,
so
okay,
good.
I like that.
Shareware is a good wealth of options.
Well, you
And
gotta
I'm going
put
to include.
Doom.
I think.
it's too popular.
Too popular. Too popular. I'm with Sean now. It's got to be right in the middle, and I think one that fits this. Oh, I fucking lost it. I can't believe this. It was perfect.
Space Station, Silicon Valley.
That's a
Anybody
good
played
one.
that? Yeah, I love that game.
Command and Conquer Red Alert.
Not too popular. Way too popular.
Guys, it had FMVs too.
No,
Wing
doesn't
Commander.
count.
Fact
Wing
Xanadu.
Commander.
No,
Wing
way too
Commander's
popular.
great.
Way too popular.
Oh,
Way too popular.
I got one that Ryan Dick would approve of. Would be Fact Xanadu.
Oh yeah,
Xanadu,
Nice.
however the hell you said it. The NES game. It was just amazing.
He loves
Just
any
weird, trippy side-scroller.
obscure Nintendo type title.
This is driving me crazy. I had it. It was perfect. It's gone.
Frank.
Buck Bumble.
God damn it.
Beetle Adventure Racing.
Just because
did any of you guys play Blizzard's Blackthorn?
That's a
Yes.
good one. I've looked. Or Lost Vikings.
Lost
Oh,
Either
yeah.
of those
Gotta
Blizzard
throw that
games,
in
I
there.
think, is
That's
a
what I was
good
asking.
inclusion here.
Gauntlet.
Or Rock and Roll Racing. I know my one buddy would be saying Rock and Roll Racing the whole way.
Stunt FX.
No, no. Uniracers.
Uniracer. And
It was
Knights.
pretty sweet.
Knights is a little too popular.
Yeah, I guess
thought
Uniracers is pretty solid.
Uniracers is the pick. That's my number one release for, and you know what? Wave Race too.
Wave Race, yeah.
You're saying that wasn't
How can you say
popular?
that's
Wasn't
not
that
too
popular.
popular?
Wave Race? Nobody even played it. Did you play it?
Pilot Wings.
But
Exactly.
I will beat you any day at a
No.
wave race.
Shadows of the Empire.
Nope,
No.
that's not what I was thinking. You're gonna say it's too popular.
What?
I don't even want to say it. You're just gonna make fun of me.
Well, first of all, I didn't want to say things were too popular. Sean was the one who said, "Nope, can't be too popular, too popular." So I'm adopting his method of judging games.
Blast Core.
Yeah.
Oh, that is it.
Yeah,
that
Blast
is
Core
it.
is
That's
amazing.
entry number one in the Game Junk Criterion series is Blast Core. No
you should just-
questions asked.
Yeah.
Case closed. That's it.
Yeah.
How have
Maybe
they
it should
never
just
made
be,
an updated version of that game? It's
I know.
insane.
It should probably just be
was
all
such an
rare games
underrated
because Vita Pinata.
It's
obviously
true.
needs to be there.
Yeah, that's it. Viva Pinata should be.
Jetpack Gemini.
Oh, rare's the best. Anticipation. Yeah. That's rare.
What else did they make? Well, obviously Goldeneye and all
The
that. But
Snake Rattle and Roll.
Actually, I got one for you. Worms.
Worms, too popular.
I don't think so. I don't think it's as popular as you think.
This might be too popular. Gorillas.bass. Gorillas.bass. We need a quick basic game in there.
Why not just Scorched Earth?
Nibbler?
Instead of Worms, go back to the original.
No, that's Gorillas.
I've got a
Gorillas.bass,
good one.
man.
Gorillas.bass.
Did it best.
I've got a good
Atomic
one on
Bananas.
Dreamcast. Seaman needs to be in there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
That's a lot. Do you include the peripheral, Sean? The microphone.
That's definitely included in the package. But
A game that was
is
terrible, but I
interesting.
enjoyed. Sim Ant.
I think this is a new podcast. I think,
pretty good,
I think I could rattle off random games
Yeah.
all night long.
Actually, I got one too. NES with the action pad. Summer Games.
Summer games, way too popular, bud. Get that shit out of here.
Did you ever play? Did you ever play with your hands?
Everyone did.
Triple jump with your hands.
Of course. Terrible, terrible game.
That's why it has to be part.
I really feel if we're talking about the essence of what this collection is, it is Blastcore.
Yeah.
Blastcore's amazing.
It's perfect.
Let's face facts. It's the best.
It is the best, yeah. I still have it.
Do you?
Yeah.
I hate in the box.
Yep.
Oh my god, I hate you. I sold all my N64 games that I wish I had so bad.
That's what I did
now.
with my Super. I sold all my Super games to buy a 64, and I regret it all because I had every Spider-Man game ever made.
Oh my!
It was the best collection.
Maximum Carnage, red
Separation
cartridge.
Anxiety. Yep. Spider-Man the cartoon game. Oh, it's awesome.
Did you have Spider-Man for 32X?
No.
Because that's worth like a ton of money.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Ton of money.
Like $100?
Like we're talking $600 or more.
Wow, that's like a Neo Geo cartridge.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
yeah.
Ogre Battle. That's kind of popular, but that was a good game.
Oh, yeah.
Ogre Battle
that
64.
I know.
Or
that
Battle Ogre.
Ding,
I
one
guess.
game
ding,
everyone
ding,
would
ding.
say.
Round is over.
Lunar for
Somebody needs
Sega
to come out
CD.
with
I
a
never played, but
Criterion
that's
collection for games.
one. Panzer Dragoon Saga
Yeah.
for Sega
A whole new
Saturn.
GamerGate. Criterion.
Oh my god!
Mystical Ninja for 64. Game was awesome.
Oh, it's interesting. Oh,
Just abruptly add the show
Pocky
right
and Rocky for Super Nintendo. Oh, what else? This is so much fun. Let's see how late we can go. All right, that's enough.
All right.
Oh,
for the-
dude, I got a better one. I got a better one. And I think everyone will agree with this, even Sean. As the first entry in this series, Adventures of Bayou Billy.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
I don't even know what the hell.
I'm
I
not
mean,
gonna argue with
it wasn't
Bayou
that
Billy.
popular, but it was on Captain N the Game Master for an episode. It's got its place in history that it needs to be remembered. It was compatible with the light guns and controllers.
It's awesome.
Adventures of Bayou Billy needs to be in this collection. Fuck, I'm going to really think about this for the next
Commander
episode.
Keen. Oh.
I wish we would have saved this question because
He just looked right at me. He's just like, I'm going to pretend he didn't say that.
I just don't. I've never heard of the game.
You never heard of Commander Keen?
I really think
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
no.
Just remember, he doesn't have a gaming PC.
I think I'm going to do consoles only, and I'm going to come up with a solid. I'm going to see how deep I can get.
Obscure
I'm going to
list
do
of
at
ones.
least 10. My first 10 releases. This is the best question ever.
awesome.
I wish I could have prepared for this.
A Boy in His Blob.
And Sean, I agree with you. You're right. It has to be kind of obscure. I was so wrong in my initial thought of what this should be. You nailed it. It's somewhere right in the middle. I cannot wait. Oh, this is so good.
All right. Thanks for the emails, guys. GameJunkPodcast@gmail.com. Send stuff in for next time. We don't know when we're recording next, so don't bother. Okay, let's talk quickly what's coming out before the end of the year. Let's see. Super Smash Brothers for the 3DS, October 3rd. Alien Isolation, October 7th. Drive Club, October 7th. 2 new NBA games, finally, also on October 7th. Project Spark. Henry worked on that, right?
Yeah, he's the director, I think.
Yep.
So that's finally
I think
coming out.
Rob as well, that we used to work with.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Costume Quest 2 on PC, October 7th. They haven't announced the console release dates for that yet. Borderlands, the pre-sequel, October 14th. The Evil Within, October 21st. Assassin's Creed Unity, October 28th. Sunset Overdrive, October 28th. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, November 4th. Citizens of Earth,
November 4th,
November
hopefully.
4th. Dragon Age 3.
Oh, you guys are going head-to-head with Call of Duty.
That's
Nice.
right. Obviously, we're going to win.
Dragon Age 3, November 11th. Halo Master Chief Collection, November 11th. Little Big Planet 3 and Far Cry 4 on November 18th. And then Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire on November 21st.
And don't forget Mario Kart DLC.
Is when?
Early November. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah?
sure when, but yeah.
I remembered the ultimate Criterion game. Sorry, I gotta get in.
I do it.
So we got Blast Corps, we got Adventures of Bayou Billy, number 3, Guardian Heroes, Sega Saturn. Oh my God, it's perfect.
People
it's a
have to
treasure
actually
game.
play these games, though.
Needs to be no, believe me, people. Sometimes you got to tell people what they want, and they want this. They want it bad.
They want Commander
This
Keen.
is a hidden gem. Sorry,
about,
those are my first 3. Oh my.
What about that horror game that you played last time that you said that you were loving? What was that game called? Deadly Premonition?
Outlast?
Oh, Deadly Premonition? Yeah, that is a classic. That is a
That
Criterion
needs to be in there.
classic.
All right.
No. This is my fucking collection. I'm taking over. I'm
This is Frank's
I'm
Criterion
curating this.
Echo the Dolphin.
Echo the Dolphin, no. Calibri for 32X, yes. The
Nice.
spiritual successor, which is a hummingbird.
Nice. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. No, it's the creator of
Alex
Echo
was like, oh, that's
making
cool.
another game, but you're a hummingbird in this one, and you shoot stuff. We'll fire it
We
up
just have a
one day.
bonus
I
track
got
of
it.
Frank just rambling on for like another hour and a half. Oh, you know what another one is?
All right. So,
I'm trying so hard.
Chris,
I mean, obviously
and Alex,
Snatcher, but
thanks
else?
for. Are we wrapping this up, Frank?
yeah, I'm just joking. Sorry. Yes, guys.
Chris,
Yeah,
Alex,
thanks for
being
having us,
here.
man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
good job,
it was
guys.
awesome.
Thanks.
Lost Orbit coming
Honored.
out sometime this year.
Sometime.
You'll be hearing about
yeah.
it from me. I'll be
Definitely.
chirping about it on Twitter when
Where can people
it's
find
getting
out
ready.
more info, and where can they follow you guys specifically?
You go to lostorbitgame.com, pixelnots.ca, or follow us on Twitter at pixelnotgames or at pixelnot Chris.
Pixelnuts Chris,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we're on everything. We're on Greenlight and Steam and IndieDB, and just type our name, you'll find us.
Cool. And Huck City, any other plugs or news for Citizens of Earth?
Don't think so. I guess I heard we're going to be at. I think a guy's bringing a build down to Indiecade, which I think is in 2 weeks, and I think it's going to be the full game
Cool.
on Vita.
Yes.
And yeah, I think we're going to have demos also the game on each shop, if all goes to plan.
Nice.
So you'll be able to get a little sample before you purchase
Cool.
if you want.
So are you guys saying next episode Costume Quest 2?
Let's do it.
All right.
I think it's just the Criterion collection
And
of games. We need to think of a name for the collection, though. That's even more important
oh my God.
because that's literally all I can think about. It Eternal Darkness for sure. What else? I'm coming up like I'm going deep. This is the best idea ever. Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. I mean, there's so many. I just want to talk about it all day.
Just cut it off. Stop the
I think
recording.
you got to get rid of Super Mario World then and put in.
Oh yeah, Mario.
Mario 2.
No, Mario World's out.
Or
There's
actually Doki Doki Panic.
maybe.
The only
Think about it.
Mario I
Mario
would
Paint.
accept is the Mario Lost Levels.
Or what
Everything
about
else.
Mario is missing?
Oh my God, I played the hell out of that.
Mario is missing.
I would maybe
a
accept
fake
that.
Mario game.
It was terrible.
Oh, don't you just want to keep going? I don't, but we need to keep doing this at some point.
All right,
I might
so,
just start twitching and talking if people want to do this at some point.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/GameJunk or twitter.com/GameJunkPodcast, where we post occasional news, tidbits, and other things. And that's pretty much it. So follow us individually on Twitter at Dirty Frank with 3 R's and Dirty, My Angry Commute, and Film Junk. Until next time, we'll see you
One
guys
sec.
later.
In honor of Sloan, who couldn't be here today, Cube is a game that will go in as well. Thank you. Sorry.
Until next time, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.